and we're live.
We are live. That's
I
great.
am alive.
Yeah,
So I thought
we
I thought we could go like episode by episode talking about the first season, go through it, a little bit of overall, and then debate and or fight about it. Hey,
little bit of
I am super ready. I've got my Ninth Doctor cosplay today, so I've got my leather jacket and black T-shirt because yeah,
oh, I
Oh,
am
fine.
missing
Okay,
an
fine. We're doing it.
opportunity.
We're doing this now.
All right,
come
what's he
on,
getting? What's
dress
he
up.
getting? Is the
We
problem?
got to dress up.
All right.
This is important.
I'm
And I just
I'm
killed the
connected.
podcast. I
didn't
just killed the
consider
podcast.
this.
Everybody left. And just this once, everybody leaves. Everybody leaves. Oh. Hello, podcast land. Okay, what have we got here? Okay, leather jacket, perfect.
I am probably now wearing a good 30 pounds of additional weight.
Excellent.
Like this is
Excellent.
a bulky fucker. How you doing, Kevin?
I'm doing fantastic. So I'm trying to get in the ninth Doctor era.
You're getting all method.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
You're getting all Brando on me.
Oh man, it's been ages, Miles. How you doing?
It's been a couple of years. It's like Rihanna and I have now been married 10 years.
Oh my goodness.
And it's been 10 years since I moved. And Rihanna's also been cancer-free at least a year.
I've been following that.
That's
it's wonderful.
It's been a rough couple of fucking. Oh, don't make me get the scarf. I'm not getting the scarf. It's hard to move in this as it is.
Hold on. Don't make me pull out the Paul McGann sweatshirt.
Don't make me dig out the fez.
Oh man.
Take out the fez.
All right, we are.
If you don't take out the fez now, when are you going to do it?
It's good. It's good that we just started and this is already falling apart. Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, just a moment. Okay, let's let all the socials know that things are happening.
Yes. Where
Now that we all look.
who
Deranged.
who was going to give the synopsis? Should we make Miles do it since he's the guest?
Yeah. Let's do that.
Of the entire season in one go.
Yeah, just like 2-minute synopsis. We'll make it even harder on you than usual. I mean, you're practiced now. You need a challenge.
Yeah, because I have no experience in describing insane television in short periods of time anymore.
No, never had the opportunity.
Just a moment. Let me just share this with everyone. Wow, we look great.
Don't we?
We look awesome.
We are the best.
I wasn't sure how this would look with 3 people, but honestly, it's
looks great.
I have not worn this jacket in so long. I feel like Tom Baker, Peter Davison, and Time Crash having to wear the costume modified for Colin Baker's much larger frame.
Oh man, we've got it. Yeah, I hope there's some tremendously deep cuts in here because I fear we're retaining some of our audience and we've got to do as much as we can to alienate them.
Yes. I'm glad we're all on the same page.
Just a moment. Okay. Let's share this far and wide.
Oh, hey.
I'm gonna threaten Charlie next. If he doesn't give me let us review Blake 7, I'm gonna wear the leather coat, and he's gonna have to edit out every single damn creak of this thing.
Can we start a new podcast called Casual Who?
Oh no.
No.
It's not allowed.
I'm not casual. I can't. I would have to go back in time like 30 years to be casual on Doctor Who.
Oh, you're too invested. Okay, we'll call it.
I'll
Okay.
just, I am starting next year. I am going to be showing Claire Affy selected stories from classic Who because they've never seen it.
All right.
So
Okay.
I've had fun having to pick 3 stories per classic Doctor.
Okay, I got another idea. Okay, we'll call the podcast "Long-Term Committed Who." Yeah.
Fine.
Relationship status with Doctor Who is complicated.
Yeah. And it is, and I think that's what this one's going to be about, because I think we all have kind of different opinions on this particular season. So I'm excited. I'm excited.
Right.
Yeah.
Sean, you look less like the 4th Doctor, more like Torgo.
All right. So
Once upon a time, I had the hair.
But do you have the knees?
Oh, hold on.
Yeah,
Just
I'll.
a second. What?
Okay.
Did our Twitter tweet the twonk? I don't.
Sure. I already did
It's a
something.
It's a series of tubes.
I said we're starting in 30 minutes, and then I said that we're live, and unless you did something also.
Quick question.
Oh.
Sure.
Only long, complicated questions, please.
Yes, this is long-term
language.
committed Who.
What?
Oh.
What should I kind of keep my my eloquence of and command of the English language on a level of? Like a Peter Capaldi in the thick of it, or
Yeah, I mean, for
William Hartnell when he's forgotten his lines.
Oh, okay, I can do that.
Yeah. That's
I'll
perfect.
just call Sean Sam every so often.
Perfect.
Yeah, that works.
Okay, so no swearing.
Yeah. If one
Yeah, that's what I
if
meant.
at all
Sorry.
possible.
if one comes out, then I'll have to comedically bleep it for the audio version.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Okay, not a problem.
If possible, yeah. But yeah, we can bleep things later. But
Okay.
it's
Very few opinions on Doctor Who get me that heated, but if I know,
We'll try to get you there. We'll get you right to the edge.
yep. And then we'll push you right off.
just push
All right.
by saying John Pertwee isn't canon.
John, what a weird John Pertwee is a kid.
Interesting.
All of the
opinion.
Tom Baker episodes were actually a dream by K9.
The only real bit of Doctor Who canon is K9 and Company.
Ooh. The Doctor never made it home.
That wasn't me, Sean. That wasn't me. Nick, high five.
I quit. I'm out.
All right.
How could you? I want to say hi to Lewis,
It's to
who's
Vinnk.
here. This feels
All right.
appropriate that we do a Doctor Who one and like another Brit's here.
Yeah. It gives us an air of legitimacy.
Yes. All right, I'm going to do the opening, and everyone's going to have
All
a
right.
good time.
All right.
Yep.
From the creators of the video game podcast Famicom Dojo
They still make that?
and the enthusiastic support of the Nerd and Tie Network
Yeah, do whatever you want.
comes a podcast about the single most important question in human history.
What is the meaning of life?
Will I ever find love?
Can God create a rock so big even Pumpkin Man cannot
How
lift
can
it?
I find fulfillment?
What happens after you
Does this look infected to
Is there
you?
such a thing as karma or fate?
What is true?
Have you guys seen my keys?
What should I be watching on TV?
Every episode of Two Boobs Watch the Tube, Vinnk and his best bra, Sean Orange, take a shallow dive into a current or retro TV show. Will they love it?
I guess.
Will they hate it?
No one-
Will they fight about it?
No one cares.
Did Sean even watch it?
No,
Is Vinnk still listening as Sean talks about Transformers?
definitely not.
These questions and more will be answered on
Two Boobs. Watch the Tube.
It edited itself.
That was a good intro. Let's watch it again. All right.
Lord.
Wow. Look at all these people. Well, and who might you be?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I am Miles Relobato from the Nerd and Tie sister show Casual Trek. We're an X-Men
Ooh.
fan and a fan of Blake 7. Try and watch every single episode of Star Trek and put it in a big ranking list, because since it's our, B, C tier fandom, we're the most objectively capable and qualified to rank everything.
All right,
Citation
everybody. Yeah. So Sean, this is our first Total Recall episode.
Yes.
You'll get there. Why?
Okay.
Because today there are 3 boobs.
Oh. Katastamaz.
And
See with the party, Victor.
And because a lot of what we're going to talk about is me recalling things that I haven't watched in many, many years. So, and some that I watched last week. So I'm excited. Actually, just before this podcast, I just watched Robot. Actually,
that's a
fun
throwback.
one.
that that robot still looks awesome. And I mean, and I mean that it's a really nice looking costume. Of course, it's a costume, and some of the green screen stuff is hilarious.
The robot looks great. The tank they bring out at one point to shoot the robot, less so.
Oh man. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're not talking about good Doctor Who. We're talking about new Doctor Who.
Ooh. Ouch. Maybe before we get it there, we should talk about Vinnk. What do you watch? Really watch?
It's okay. I'm just trying to rile up Miles here. So let's
just Miles.
No. I mean, I hear controversy leads to more subscribers. So.
I work in customer service. I'm the least capable to rile.
Oh well, I'll set it as a goal. Tell me what you watch, what you really watch. What have I been watching lately? I mean, a lot of Doctor Who, to tell you the truth, because I'm revisiting it because now my daughter's into it.
Oh.
And you can blame me for that. That's a legitimate thing. She wouldn't have discovered it on her own in Japan. It's not going to happen. But so I've been watching a lot of that. What else? Bit of Gravity Falls. Gosh, not much else. Not much else since last time we talked. Mythic Quest. On Apple TV. I've been keeping up to date with that. How about you, Sean? Tell me what you watch, what you really watch.
Surprisingly, not a whole lot. I mean, the reason we're doing this episode is because of some off the cuff comments you made about a show. So I dove back into Doctor Who also, but since then, I've been watching Willow. So I think there are 5 episodes out now.
Okay.
Since we last recorded, total. And Prodigy, Star Trek Prodigy, is just about wrapped up for the season finally after 20 episodes. So that should be airing actually the day we record this. So. We'll see if it sticks the landing or not.
Which one is that? Is that a new live action? Is that a new?
It's a CG kids show.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's on Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
Has,
I used to watch Star Trek the Animated Series on Nickelodeon back in the 80s.
oh boy, that was sure a different time. You know that episode about the giant Spock? Like I remember that pretty clearly from when I was a kid. And then I'm like, it's one of those things where you think to yourself, though, no, that can't possibly have been real. And then you go back and you watch it and you go, oh yes. And it was even dumber than I remembered, but also better, but also dumber. Because they just call him like Spock 2, I believe.
Of course they do. I saw Tribbles in the animated series before I ever saw the actual episode.
Same.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Like TAS was my first dive into Star Trek in all its 2 frames per minute animated glory.
That's also where you learn that Filmation, the same outfit that did He-Man, did the animated series, and a lot of things start to make more sense. But anyhow,
the world started to make more sense.
I don't
Anyway,
know about that. Miles, what have you been watching?
My wife and I have been watching season 2 of Only Murders in the Building, which is hilarious, and the second season is just as funny as the first. I was worried that after the first season they wouldn't be able to kind of maintain the momentum, but it's going really interesting places. It's really diving into the characters, and of course it's Steve Martin and Martin Short and Selena Gomez. It's hilarious. I've also slowly been working my way through the first season of MASH. I discovered MASH this year, and
wait. You rediscovered, right?
No, I saw the original film years ago.
I
never saw like the TV show until the year of our COVID 2022.
It's so good. It's so good.
It's really good.
It's like I grew up watching MASH, and probably a lot of kids, because this was my parents' favorite show.
Yeah.
So there was reruns every night, and I watched it as a little kid. I got some of the slapstick ones. As an older kid, I got more of the and like there's and now the mixture of drama and comedy. It's just it's got so many levels. Yeah. Oh, they're hoping for my British accent.
I didn't say anything. Who did that?
Go on.
Roy!
10 out of 10, no complaints. Better than Johnny Depp.
Perfect.
Better than Johnny Depp in From Hell.
Wow.
I'm really trying to get my British accent up to the level of Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins, but I don't know if I'm ever going to get to that aspiring goal.
Don't worry, after 10 years in the States, so am I. Yeah. Crikey O'Reilly. All the lads on the street know Mary Poppins.
We might be getting a little off track. I'm not sure. Oh no, we're not off track because we haven't even approached the track yet. We're still on the loading platform.
Oh no.
All right.
What show are we talking about today, was it? I distracted myself from some very hurtful things somebody said.
We are talking about what are we going to call it? The 27th season, the first season, there's debate here. Like what are we going to call? How about the 2005 season?
I always call it modern Who at this point, because it's been God knows how many years. It stopped being new. It's now just there's classic Who and then there's modern Who, in my opinion.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
It's kind of like how Voyager is part of old Trek.
That doesn't feel right.
I know, right? Yeah. So we've debated before how we're going to do Doctor Who on the show, because it sometimes doesn't make sense to do it just one season at a time. No. Because there's just so much of it. But fortunately for us, spoilers, this particular actor only had one series.
Well, now who's going to watch this episode?
But he's not the shortest run either, so there's that.
That's true. Okay.
It depends on how you consider it. Yeah, okay.
Paul McGann actually had the longest run of any actor playing the Doctor.
Fine.
9 years.
We'll get there.
Okay.
One
Anyway.
one episode in 9 years.
Okay.
One televised episode in 9
That
years.
sounds like every American joke about the length of British television.
It sure
honestly.
does. And we helped contribute to it. Thanks, Steven Spielberg.
Steven Spielberg was connected to it in the same way that, like, I don't have an adequate example there, but like Amblin was connected with it for a while, you know, but
Right.
it's Philip Seagal who's really to blame. Paul McGann was a great doctor, though. Paul McGann was a great doctor. Just he was in a universe of garbage. So,
Oh no! All right.
you know, we
Well,
could, yeah.
It's well shot garbage. It looks great.
Oh yeah.
But, like, it's some fantastic. Like, it's the first time in Doctor Who that, you know, they've tried to do things with the camera beyond.
Yep.
Okay, the stage is that
Yes.
way. If you can remember your lines on camera, that's good. That's good for us. Pubs close in 10 minutes. Go. Let's go.
Basically, yeah. Oh, you missed a couple lines there, but we'll work it out in post. Yeah.
You said well shot. I thought you were about to make a Cardiff joke. The way you were. Never mind.
No.
All
It
right.
was no, the new seasons was well shot. So
Yes,
It was,
that's
it was
what.
well shot. It was well shot, boyo.
should I summarize the first season, or should we let Miles do
Let's
it?
let Miles do it.
All right. Go
Let
ahead.
Miles do it.
Okay, so are these two school teachers, Ian Chesterton and Barbara Wright, and they're very
You got 2 minutes. Good luck.
and they're very concerned about their student Susan Foreman. So they follow her to a graveyard, not a graveyard, a junkyard. And in the junkyard, they find a telephone box, and the telephone box is actually a spaceship, which is bigger on the inside than it is on the outside. And there's
Spoilers.
a strange, kooky figure called the Doctor. Then 30 or so years later, they have to bring the show back again. So we forget all that stuff I've just said.
Yeah.
We meet this young modern girl called Rose Tyler, and one evening at her store, she is attacked by killer shop window dummies and saved by a strange Northman in a leather coat who calls himself the Doctor, who promptly blows up her job. After some scrapes involving more of the killer shop window dummies, she discovers that he's an alien who's 900 years old and a Time Lord. Where from? He won't say. Are there anyone more like him? He won't say. Some crap went down. And so,
Right.
Rose ditches her boyfriend and her mum and goes on adventures with the Doctor. And it's great. It's fun. There are some farting aliens for some reason.
Yes.
Downing Street blows up. Brilliant. Love this. And then we meet an alien called a Dalek, which is a big, giant metal pepper pot of death. So it turns out that there was a big time war between the Daleks and the Doctor's race, the Time Lords. And the Doctor is the only one who survived by blowing up everybody. And the Doctor's very damaged about this. More adventures continue. The Doctor starts to kind of emotionally heal. They meet a time-traveling demisexual from the 52nd century called Captain Jack Harkness. And Vinnk is drinking an AW soda. And they have more adventures. The Doctor heals emotionally more. Meanwhile, they've noticed that these words, bad wolf, are following them from time and space. Why is that? We're going to find out. They end up on a space station in the far, 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 far future, which has murdery versions of modern British quiz shows and reality TV. You get it? Reality TV is murder. This is actually a plan by a surviving batch of Daleks who are genocidal xenophobes to take human DNA to build a new army of Daleks, rendering them even more insane than usual. The Doctor sends Rose back to present day, while he and Jack make a last-ditch effort to defeat the Daleks. Rose, having convinced her boyfriend and her mum that the Doctor is a good guy and that the ideals he stands and fight for are worth standing and fighting for. And they help her do some jiggery pokery with the TARDIS, which they won't do again for obvious reasons, giving Rose time powers, thus making her a self-fulfilling paradox because she is the bad wolf. Rose destroys the Daleks, all of them, but she's going to die because no human should absorb that much energy. The Doctor kisses her, drawing the energy out of her, thus the culmination of some unresolved sexual tension, which will get worse in a next season. But doing this gives the Doctor emotional catharsis, but will
one hell of a
kill him.
headache.
And the Doctor regenerates into a much taller, lankier Scottish person, but not really. And to everyone's surprise, oh no, Doctor Who?
Ooh. All right.
No,
it was
it's
longer than two. Yeah, exactly. Doctor Who, we love you. Look, the actual lyric. No.
What?
No, that was no. I mean that
was nice
well,
and concise.
Goodbye, everyone. that was.
And the
that
show
was
never
our
makes
podcast.
as much sense ever again.
And the Doctor's emotional catharsis goes away forever.
Yeah.
The Doctor has never, ever comes to terms with the Time War ever again.
So what prompted this episode was we were in another episode. What were we talking about? What show were we talking about?
It was during Cobra Kai for some reason, because why not?
Of course it was. Because I cannot stay on track. I just cannot. But I said it was during the tell me what you watch, what you really, really watch part. And I said I've been starting to watch the first season of the newer Doctor Who. Or whatever, and you went ooh, and I went, and it's so bad.
And I went, wait. So
and then
here we
you're
are.
like, and then you're like, I need Miles. So,
Yeah, I need backup.
But like, okay, now of course that was because I'm a shocking person, and I want it's not bad, but like there are so many bad parts of it that that I think I forgave a lot more when I was so starved for Doctor Who, because I'm a fan of the original series and I was so excited for it to come back. And there was a lot of things that I think I overlooked, but watching again, yeah. But at that point, I'd only been up to Aliens of London for episodes when we were watching through, and I just got through a lot of farting aliens, and you know that leaves a bad taste in one's mouth. I should really rephrase that.
I need to have a quick tangent concerning farting aliens.
Yes.
Go ahead.
When I lived back home in Brighton, England, we used to the hotel where I worked at used to host the Labour Party convention. And it was a convention for either 2005 or 2006. As they were breaking it down, and like they have like the big convention halls and the big screens where they show the live streams. As they're breaking everything down, someone just evidently thought, we give no crap about what we're showing. And they started playing the Aliens of London and World War III episodes during the Labour Party conference, where this is, of course, the story where, you know, Tony Blair, the Labour Prime Minister, is killed and replaced by a bunch of farting aliens.
Yeah.
Someone hated their job there that day more than me. On the other hand, I had a great day. I got to watch Doctor Who and pretend to work.
Well, there you go. There you go.
There's a lot of important context here, right?
Okay.
Like this show, when it came back, Miles wasn't kidding. It was like 32 years because it premiered in longer?
Oh, longer than that.
42 years. 42
The
years.
original show was 63. It ended in 89.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we have the TV movie in 96. A lot of books and audio plays in the interim.
I read so many of those.
I was too young for the books, because like the post 89 ones, the Virgin New Adventures, I was too young for those books, and those books are very much more like a teen young, like early 20-something audience. There's a lot of
I was too young for those. I started reading them when I was 14, and I learned a lot about the world.
Oh my. There was a copy of a book called Transit in my primary school classroom, and this is like when I was 8, and that's a book where someone mentions having the taste of
Yep.
a certain
Yep.
body. Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah.
That
Again,
whooshing sound.
I learned a lot.
Learn a lot.
I learned a
You
lot.
learned a lot about the
I
90s.
learned a lot. I learned. Yeah.
Yeah.
What did I learn from that series? I learned about fluid sexuality, which like that should be something you learn from Doctor Who.
That'll come up again.
The stuff you're not going to learn in the Star
Yeah.
Wars novels coming out at the same
Yeah.
time, which I was reading far too much of as a kid.
But anyway,
Yeah, I was going to say it had been a while since we'd seen any new Doctor Who at all, and more importantly, while there was a fan base in the States, there was basically no way to watch it, if you weren't on the BBC, and So there was a lot riding on this being good, so that A, we could see it legitimately, and B, there would be more than just 13 episodes of it after essentially decades off the air.
I do have to give some kind of context, because the last time the BBC had done anything kind of science fiction related, which got an audience, was the latter two seasons of Red Dwarf in like the mid to late 90s. Like British TV and like science fiction genre has never really kind of mixed because of all the jokes. Because of all the jokes of low budget, like cardboard walls, bottle, So for the longest time, the only genre shows would be all the very glossy US imports, which are much cheaper so you got your Star Treks, your Buffys. And I think that Buffy influence is what they really pushed into the new show.
You're absolutely right. Russel T Davies even mentioned that in some of the early interviews, that he was influenced by that kind of. He wanted it not, to be kind of that episodic with like overarching things like there, but like kind of slick and cool.
To just like the regular audiences, and for better or worse, it paid off.
Yeah, I mean, okay. For one thing, I mean, Sean knows this. I have strong critiques of Russel T Davies, but
I remember the No Brand forum. Don't worry, I also remember those strong critiques.
But like I mean, gotta give the guy props. Like, I don't know if anyone else could have actually brought the show back. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I think that's true.
Like I don't know if I necessarily liked all the decisions he made, which is weird because I read his books, because he was an author of New Adventures novels too, and I thought he was one of the stronger writers, whatever. And like he put Doctor Who references in a lot of his other works. One of the characters was a huge Doctor Who fan in Queer as Folk and things like that. So he was a legit fan. He wasn't just someone who like let's burn everything down. I mean, he wanted it to be an actual continuation, and through his episodes, he made sure to reference previous Doctors, things like that. And I appreciated that, but I just don't like how much pop culture he put into it. Some just kind of flash. I don't know. Can we go? Let's go episode by episode. Let's do that.
All right.
Rose, steaming garbage.
Wow.
Can
you be more specific?
Okay, I think it's all over the place. I think it's not exactly sure what it wants to be, and I know they've got to do that because they're bringing in a series that's been dormant for more than a decade. But like the music, the filming, I mean, the Autons is what you're going to bring the show back with.
What's an Auton, Vinnk?
The living plastic,
No, technically the living plastic is the Nestian consciousness. It just operates through the Autons. I think this is a problem with the earlier episodes, like that, and I think the director was shooting it much more like a CBBC kid show. It's very noticeable that he's never on the show. He never works for the show again.
Yeah.
And I admittedly when I first watched Rose, okay, I'll be honest, when it started and the opening credits, I admit I cried because Doctor Who was back. It was actually happening.
Oh yeah.
And like I admit, first time around, I wasn't getting it. Like, it took me a long time. It felt too jokey. It felt like Eccleston was playing it too jokey. And it's only when at the end, when he is talking to the Nestine, and he shouts, "I am talking," and then everything goes silent.
Yep.
That was the moment. Where I was like, he's the Doctor.
I invoke the Shadow Proclamation or something. Yeah.
Like he gets it.
Like that's the thing about Eccleston in general is like some moments he's like so good, and some moments it's just like I'm not sure if they knew the direction. Like the first episode I'm willing to forgive because every Doctor has that whole regeneration sickness or whatever going on, but for one thing, I don't know, it was like it seemed like he regenerated very, very recently because he's like checking the mirror and he's like, oh, look, the ears turned out pretty good. But like as the show goes on, they kind of forgot about that. They're like, no, he's been this Doctor for a long time. There was a war, blah, 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 blah. But I don't know. He was just too manic, but not in a Tom Baker way.
I think the manicness is him kind of putting on an affectation. I always kind of see the Eccleston character as a season being how the Doctor got his groove back. That he has to be this kind of very damaged, traumatized individual so he can regenerate into a damaged, traumatized individual who can be more like the Doctor. Like he's still trying to learn who he is again. And so a lot of that kind of openly goofiness kind of feels like he's forcing it.
It's like a coping mechanism.
Yeah, and then you get like the later half of the season where he does feel more relaxed and more like himself than he was. But of course, that could just be nerd brain trying to justify some rather weird acting choices.
I mean, you can totally retcon that back now. I mean, because now that you know about things like the War Doctor or whatever, it's easy to go, okay, after that, he became this. But like at the time, it clearly wasn't, But, okay. Anyway, Rose is weird. You've got Mickey turning into a giant plastic thing. You've got the burping garbage can. The one thing that I think worked really well was it was poking fun at the Doctor Who fans because they've got the guy who's like the conspiracy theorist who's been tracking the Doctor. I thought that was a funny scene. Of course, since he was a nice character who I liked, they killed him off 5 minutes later. But that's introducing. At the time, I thought Rose's mother was annoying. But upon rewatching it right now, I quite like her as a character. It's weird. I don't know. Maybe
it's because we're her age now.
Yeah, that's true. No, and then I found out she was the girl from King Ralph, which is an underrated movie. Yeah, she is.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, you know what? It might not be an underrated movie. I haven't watched it.
Off to watch King Ralph.
Off to watch King Ralph. But anyway, so I mean, Rose. Yeah, it's a bit of a. I think it's a bit of a strange one to bring it back with. I do, but like, and it's kind of, it doesn't seem particularly threatening, but it's also another episode that like resolved itself really quickly. It's like Rose swings on a rope. They drop something in, and the big bad is destroyed because 45 minutes has passed.
Because it's the plot contrivance to get the characters together and build all your establishing stuff.
And I think that's one of the biggest problems I have with new Doctor Who, actually, is because there's a lot of really interesting concepts that don't have the time to flesh themselves out. 45-minute format, I just, that makes it as short as the shortest serials for Doctor Who, like Black Orchid or something like that. Like, Yeah, that's a two-parter, 25-minute episodes. So, but take the credits away, and it's about 45 minutes, you know. But like some of the ideas are so interesting that by the time they actually get running with it, it's time to end it.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and you never can like let's move on to End of the World. End of the World is such an interesting concept, and there's so many new aliens and so many things introduced, and they're introduced as like here's things, let's kill things, dead. Oh, let's have a moment where we meet a minor character who is a plumber. Oh, what a neat character. Okay, dead. You know, like there's no there because things are moving so fast, it's hard to get attached to anything that's actually going on. I don't know. And,
That's not unfair. That's not unfair at all.
yeah.
That's one of the things I love about the RTD
Yeah.
era is that he's really good at giving you like these very like small side characters,
Yeah.
making you care about them, and then melting them.
Yeah, pretty much.
And
But one thing about the End of the World is at the time I thought that some of the humor was I was a little worried even at the time. This is not going to age well. Like the joke about the jukebox being an iPod. But then my daughter, she came in and she's like, "Is that really called an iPod?" And I'm like, you've never seen an iPod and you've never seen a jukebox. You don't know either of those things. Like, you have no point of reference for this. You know what I mean?
It's been 17 years now for those keeping track at home since that episode aired.
They played a Britney Spears song in that one and labeled it as classical music, which I think is still funny. I think that's still funny.
Yeah.
But okay, let's remember how End of the World was resolved. It was resolved because there's a room that has spinning blades for some reason, with a control panel at the other end of the spinning blades for some reason, and it's a growing heat, and you've decided as your companion to have someone made of wood. It's just like...
Look, it's Doctor Who. Doctor Who operates
I know.
cliffhanger serial logic.
Yeah.
It's
But
yeah. I that was one of them I rewatched like a couple of weeks, like when Sean basically said, "I need you to browbeat Vinnk into thinking my opinions are valid." There was subtext in this one. I started rewatching it with Rand and my wife. Like, honestly, the first time I watched the first season, because when it first aired, I may have watched it 3 or 4 times. In that year alone.
Right.
To the point, the last time I watched it was Christmas 2005, when I showed it to Rihanna the first time, because I couldn't. This is my shame. When I wanted to introduce to her Doctor Who, it was like, okay, what does Eau Claire Library have? The Reboot operation. No Ark in Space. Nope, not doing this. We'll go to wait for the modern show. That was my shame. Pirate Planet, I was like, no, this looks cheap and tacky. And then Rihanna reminded me, it's written by Douglas Adams. Yes. I love Douglas Adams. You do. I would have dug this. I'm an idiot.
It's okay.
Yeah. That's, you know what? That's fine. That's fine. But anyway, looking back on it, the CG was fairly impressive at the time. It looks pretty bad now. And I think one of the reasons it looks really bad now is because when I watched it before, I watched it on an SD television monitor. And now I'm watching it on an HD set. And it was not recorded in HD, the original shows. And they've tried to upres it, but it actually makes the CG look really bad. Like... The live action looks okay. It still looks well. It's well shot, but the CG has it just looks. It was never intended to be seen clearly.
Yeah, because you got to remember this was 2005, and while it was 16:9, very much not high res.
But 2005, like
it's
a lot of shows were being filmed in HD back then. At least 720, you know.
It's 2005, and you got the BBC basically having to relearn how to make this kind of TV again.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean that's true. That's true. But at least they didn't record them on videotape and wipe those videotapes and then rely on people who had telesnaps of the. Okay. Anyway, sorry.
Well, and End of the World, I feel kind of similarly to Miles, right? Like I had to watch that one a lot because it was the one that proved to me the most that like Doctor Who was really back, right? You had all these crazy aliens, like I think the little musical stinger where poor Ruffalo dies. Like I'm like, yes, that sounds like the kind of spooky woo thing that I'm used to. Yay, people are gonna love this. Like I would cling to the littlest, weirdest things because Rose was so hard to watch.
It was, and it's really hard to rewatch. But like I mean, I almost skipped Rose when I was showing the show to my daughter because I'm like, oh, I'm going to show this and she's not going to want to watch anymore, you know. But you know what? She liked it. She liked it because she likes the Billie Piper character a lot. She really does like Rose, whatever. But it makes no sense.
I wonder how Rose flows as a story to someone who this is their first episode of Doctor Who.
Well, that's the thing. She's clinged much more on to Rose than the Doctor.
Yeah.
And that's why when Christopher Eccleston left, the first thing, you know, she knew he was going to leave because she heard that, but the first thing she's like, is Rose still there? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, then it's okay. You know, like it really was, you know.
Oh boy.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. But the thing is, you always like we were talking or whatever, and I was showing her Robot or whatever. And she's like, it's a different Doctor Who logo, and I'm like, oh yeah, you've never seen the diamond logo before, and she's like, I like the one that looks like an eye, and I'm like, the one that looks like and she's talking about the Ninth Doctor, and I'm like, I hate that. I think it looks terrible.
Guess what? The diamond's back.
Yep. Just be thankful your daughter didn't glom on to Harry Sullivan as her favorite companion.
That's a question of taste then.
But anyway, now you're talking, Sean, about the end of the world being the episode that felt like Doctor Who to you. I'm going to say that the next episode, The Unquiet Dead, is the first one that actually felt like Doctor Who to me. You've got Mark Gatiss writing it, who's a huge Doctor Who fan. You know, like he's someone you can trust with the script or whatever. It's got nice filming. Again, it's a story that like I wish had played out a little more because like meeting Charles Dickens and things like that. It reminded, and I don't know, the setting, I was getting vibes of like Towns of Wang Chang or something like that. You know, like a good Tom Baker story. But again, horror. Yeah, but again, it's characters that are introduced, immediately killed off, and problem solved very quickly. But I mean, these early episodes, it was all just like Russel T Davies was like, I like that person. They're coming back in Torchwood. I like that. You know, on next episode, you've got Dr. Sato. Oh, you're in Torchwood. Oh, you're in Torchwood. Everybody's in Torchwood. Look under your chair. You're in Torchwood. You know, it's like, but like I liked it. I liked the idea of interacting with a famous person, which was kind of a staple of like a lot of the earlier Doctor Who.
Who was that famous person, Vinnk?
Who was that famous person? Charles Dickens?
Yes.
I mentioned that earlier, but that's okay.
Did you?
I don't expect you to listen. and it's not necessary. I just like talking. So
it's 8 a.m. where we are. It's we're still waking up.
Oh, okay. But Unquiet Dead, I thought looked really nice. I thought, the whole fish out of water thing was really nice. Even more so than the modern episode, you know. But yeah, I'm like, okay, I feel like this is hitting a groove now. And then Aliens of London and World War III happened, and I'm like, okay. Now these episodes aired when I was visiting America for No Brand Con, actually.
I didn't actually watch these episodes until after I came back from that trip to No Brand because I couldn't download them. The next episode I made concerted effort to download and watch that weekend.
Course.
But no, watching at least it has time for the episode and ideas to develop. Just
I guess. Okay, so for those
What
who haven't
were
seen
those
Aliens,
ideas?
so if anyone hasn't seen Aliens of London, spaceship crashes into Big Ben because it looks good. It's like Britain's like Independence Day moment. Like we blew up the White House, you guys crashed a spaceship into Big Ben. Turns out there's an alien who's like a pig. Sure.
poor space pig. We feel sorry
yeah,
for him. Then dead.
Space pig. Yeah. Oh, he's scared. Oh, he's shot. Okay, done. And then it turns out that there's these giant slime babies who are called the Slovene, which is not a alien race but a family name, because sure. And they are wearing human skin, which they like to take off frequently, because I think it was they thought this is a nice looking special effect. Let's do it 30 times. Because anything worth doing is worth overdoing. And then because the costume, the skins don't fit them exactly, they fart frequently. And that's their tell, is because they always fart. And they've killed everyone in British like all the politicians, because they state early on that they are some like minor low-ranking official. So that means everyone else is dead.
Yeah, they're low-ranking backbenchers who have just murdered their way to the top.
Yeah.
Up to and including Tony Blair.
And I gotta say, like, when I first watched that, I didn't realize exactly how dark it was that they have, killed everyone. And then there's she's not a reporter. I keep thinking she's a reporter, but what district did she
She's
support?
got that
Yeah.
Slidell North.
Yeah, that's it. And she introduces herself all the time, and she turns out to be not as she has a bad arc and then a redemption arc, but that's for another season. But probably one of the funner characters in this slog of a two-parter. I don't know. There's just so many lines that just make me cringe to this day, like victory shall be celebrated naked or something like that. And
but why?
Like Trump has never said that line at all in the White House.
True.
Oh, true. I don't know. There were some like little bits and pieces, which I like the joke with the port. When he passes the port to Harriet, and Harriet goes, "Ports traditionally serve to the right." There you go. Or excuse me, would you mind not farting while I'm trying to save the world?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Little bit of pointless, stupid trivia because I noticed because I have no life.
Yeah.
The unit ID card the doctor is wearing has John Pertwee's photo on it.
Okay.
Oh, they're small.
Okay.
Well, this whole thing, like, there's lots of little tiny bits of subtext, and people were just like clamoring for any little hint and like reference to the old series. And I think, if I'm remembering this correctly, like the Albion Hospital reference is also a Pertwee reference. And that's also where we get to see Unit again for the first time, that they're introduced to the story. They're not very much help, but when were they ever?
Well, I mean, yeah, exactly. I just watched Robot, and it's 4 episodes of Unit. In the first episode, they learned that you cannot defeat the giant robot by shooting at it, so they spent 4 episodes continually shooting at it and driving model tanks in.
Well, they have lots of budget for blanks, I guess.
Yes,
and not much else.
It's amazing, but yeah.
But even going back to earlier episodes, like right there, apart from the individual stories, which were a little uneven and inconsistent at times, they're laying down the backdrop of like who this character is, and more importantly for people who have seen the show in the last 26 seasons plus time gap, like what's happened since then. So the Doctor's people are gone. There was the Time War. all these aliens they're running into, for the most part, are refugees of that war. So there's like this big, long arc of like consequences and ideas being woven throughout, plus the Bad Wolf references, which Miles mentioned in his synopsis. So you hear about Bad Wolf mentioned first by Gwen, not Gwen.
No, one of the
in the Unquiet
aliens in End of the World mentions goes, "This is a Bad Wolf situation."
Oh, you're right.
Rose is the only episode where Bad Wolf isn't mentioned.
You're right.
But yeah, I mean, the thing is, what was amazing is like I watched it again, and I didn't like it the first time, and these two episodes, Aliens of London, World War III, I watched them when they first came out, and unlike the other two episodes, which I rewatched several times, I couldn't make myself watch it again until 16 years later when I watched it with my daughter.
It did take that long.
And I still hated it, but you know what? It was very interesting because my kids really liked it. Like, because for them, they're like, oh, the aliens fart. You know, it was like it was manna from heaven for them. Like they you know, because it was scary enough that my middle daughter kind of covered her eyes for it. Like, it was scary enough, but it wasn't so, you know, it wasn't a horror movie, you know, it wasn't, it was, and like, I was
unlike
like,
the next series.
And I'm like, oh my God, I've been taking a children's series too seriously. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, because I'm like, this is the brilliance of Russel T Davies, though. Like, you know, there was enough for us to keep watching. Obviously, we kept watching, but like, it brought in this whole new generation that might not have watched it at all if Doctor Who had been stuck up its own bottom, you know. You know,
it's arse.
Yeah. But anyway, this is leading into what I would consider one of the best episodes of the season, and that's Dalek.
Yeah.
Right.
And I cannot think of a better way to introduce my kids to Daleks as an actual threat, because you watch some of the classic ones and you're like, they aren't going to be scary or whatever. And what was wonderful was my daughter had the same revelation that we all did when we were kids. She's like, just go up the stairs. You know what I mean? Right. But they resolved that in the episode in such a great way. I mean, they did in the Seventh Doctor era, they did in Remembrance of the Daleks, but even then he took like 3 episodes to go up the stairs. So,
right, it's true.
You know, like,
it was very slow.
So just this idea or whatever of one Dalek being this much of a threat and also being a little bit sympathetic added a complexity that, like, I'd say that Dalek is one of my favorite episodes. One of my favorite Dalek episodes. I mean, probably Genesis of the Daleks is still, you know, but like, it was a good Dalek episode.
I would have to say, like, my favorite classics are Evil and Power, the 2 Troughton stories, because they do stuff. I like the Daleks, but the Daleks get put too much into being the shooty bang bang monster. Yeah, and then you have stories like Dalek, which does play on it. It's funny because did your daughters feel sorry for the Dalek? Yeah. Because that was the same with Rihanna, and I'm like, nah, it's a Dalek. No, right. Kill it now. I've seen.
Well, exactly.
Yeah, and
that's the thing, because for her, that's her first experience with the Dalek, and she thought the Doctor was quite cruel, because she's like, Rose represents what my daughter was thinking. She's like, this is an alien who says, help me, who says, I'm in need. And Rose is sympathetic to them. But us Doctor Who fans are Christopher Eccleston going, no, kill it with fire.
Eccleston is great. He is great in this episode.
Wonderful.
Like, it's just this is his A game. I feel he hits his stride from here on for the rest of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the show hits its stride, but
no,
he
I mean,
does.
like I agree. Like, I agree.
The performance. No, this really cements it. It's it's a good episode. It's got some lines in it or whatever. What was it? Get me a new president of the United States. Oh, do you want a Democrat or a Republican? Let's go with Democrat. Why? Because they're so funny. You know, it's like, you know, it's very, you know, it's or whatever. And like, you know, I'm watching that episode, and I guess he was that guy was supposed to be inspired by like a Bill Gates type character, but it's definitely Elon Musk before Elon Musk was Elon Musk. You know what I mean? Like, it's very, very interesting. But yeah, Dalek, amazing how they made Daleks threatening again, because they'd become so camp. You know, they'd become so camp that like, I was just like, what are they going to do? And unfortunately, they kind of got camp again, you know, later on. But
they're not as camp as they were before the show came back, when they were starring in Kit Kat commercials.
Yeah.
Ooh.
But anyway, but then anyway, Dalek is back. Great episode. What do you think of Dalek, Sean?
Well, I would hope at this point, like it's kind of obvious what Davis was doing. Like there's a lot of introspection and retrospection about Doctor Who in general, some deconstruction going on, and really they've been doing it the whole time.
Yeah.
But like if you weren't aware that they were doing it and you were just looking at the surface level detail, like I feel like I was the first time I watched it 17 years ago, like this puts it into stark contrast for you. So like keeping that in mind and watching it all over again from the beginning, like they're doing it the whole time. They're peppering those little moments throughout every episode, even the ones that I don't like very much. And like for the rest of this series, like they're able to do kind of Doctor Who fan fiction, but also be the writers at the same time and like bring the whole thing forward, which feels like a necessary thing to make it survive these next iterations. Because without that, I don't think they probably would have run into the same mistakes and not made it something new. So it's hard to be too hard on him for his typical RTD-ness because he saved it.
Russel T Davies did not write this episode.
No, he didn't write it, but like
I know.
The whole approach, the whole verve, like, you know, making Rose like the character insert or the audience insert character to like give it the right perspective so that it can survive the actor changing by the end of it.
Because the thing is, like, I think with the first season, there is very much we have to get this right, because it's either going to take off and, you know, Doctor Who will be fantastic, or it's going to be one of the biggest bombs in television and destroy everyone's careers, and Doctor Who will never come back.
Well, wasn't it like Peter Grade was still trying to get it taken off? Sorry, Michael Grade. Sorry, not Pete. Sorry, but yeah, Michael Grade was still trying to get it taken off because I don't know, residual hatred of it from the 80s. I don't know, but yeah, it almost didn't happen again or whatever, and so it had to have spectacular ratings to keep it going.
So just like think of the McGann movie, right? Like, like everything that they did wrong, it's like they learned from all of it. It looks gorgeous still, right? They have the budget now.
Best looking TARDIS.
Right.
Wait, the McGann TARDIS or the new TARDIS for Modern Who?
Paul McGann. Okay. Paul McGann TARDIS.
Yeah. It was incredible, right? But like they made a bunch of mistakes. They dove into the mythology too soon, and like nobody cared, right? Yeah. It's like you had Grace, but you didn't lean into her. You know, you had the romantic tension thing, but they like resolve it real fast, and it's just like all the elements were there, and it's just you just had to reshuffle the deck a bit, and it was going to work this time.
There's so many great moments in that movie, but the movie's just a mess.
Yeah, the movie's a mess.
Yeah, but
It's a nice looking mess, and
oh yeah,
Paul McGann is a very sexy human being.
yeah.
It helps.
Yeah.
There's that moment where it was like, if you don't let us through, I'm going to shoot myself or something.
That was wonderful.
That's the best moment.
No, the best moments are these shoes.
It has very, very. I don't like my kidneys. The color of my kidneys moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. So what you're basically saying is like, we Doctor Who fans are coming into it and expecting a lot right away. But the thing is, Russel T Davies was playing episode 7, the long game.
We're expecting the show.
Oh, boo! That was a good
We're
transition.
expecting the show we love when we're 7 years old. Cardboard. You want it to be like, for me, you want it to be like the Pertwee era, because that's what that's like the first one. That's what you grew up on. You want Tom Baker running up cardboard steps and shouting at K9.
Exactly. I still want it. Now the long game, like, I think I was disappointed with the long game purely because Dalek was such a great episode. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Doctor Who is back. It's going to go well. And I'm like, the next one has Simon Pegg in it. Big Simon Pegg fan. And it was just, I would say that the synopsis of the episode is like nothing happened twice. It's like
I like the idea. This is the one where I'm like, I like the idea. I love the idea of like the whole like media evil kind of news corporation run by the sinister, all that stuff is really good, but they don't do it's just too much of the background and not enough of the foreground. Yeah,
they have this thing like, okay, like I get where they're going with this evil media thing, and again, that's super relevant right now. Maybe it would be the internet rather than they're clearly leaning on that television would still be a thing 5 billion years in the future or whatever, but and things like that. And they've got the mind link, which doesn't seem necessary for anything. Like, I still don't really know, other than it was a cool looking effect, why they needed that. It's a lot of things are not explained. You've got Adam, who turns out to be a not great companion.
I like that they did that they showed that Doctor can travel with multiple people, even when they're not girls and hot.
Well, no, you've had that for a long time, unless you're.
I'm talking about this show. Like they introduced the idea.
Sean, are you saying that Jamie McCrimmon isn't canon?
What?
You know what? You're dropping some bombs today. Yeah, Sean.
How dare you, Sean? Sean, you monster.
This show didn't exist before 2005. That's the perspective I'm taking right now.
Miles, I know you were recruited to take me down, but I think you should switch allegiances right now.
I'm switching allegiances. You deserve every bad Quantum Leap reference I sent your way.
What did I do?
You implied that Jamie wasn't canon.
Yes. And that Harry Sullivan was hot.
Each their own, I guess.
Like, Harry Sullivan is hot if that's the kind of person. If you kind of go for pompous, upper class, and British.
There you go.
Well, this breaks the logjam though, because by the end of the season, we start getting more companions, and it kind of organically grows from here. Like, we really had to establish Rose and their relationship, and now we have a dud.
Yeah.
Whoops.
But that's the problem, though, is especially in an episode called The Long Game, they really shorted the guy. Like if he had been with the TARDIS crew for a little while, then like it would have more impact when he turned out to be a dud. Do you know what I mean? But like he joined at the last 1 minute of Dalek and was out by the end of the next episode. I mean, I
was fine with that, I guess, because I forgot that it even happened, that he was there.
Yeah.
Upon the rewatch, and it's like it's important who the Doctor picks and why, and like his discerning things, and she only he only comes along because Rose thinks he's cute. And,
Yeah,
and
but
he's
that
trying to
was
make the doctor jealous.
That was an interesting dynamic too, though, when they had that, and it was never explored much. Like they explored it in Dalek, but by the long game, they've just decided from minute one that this guy's a dud, and so it wasn't a surprise when he was. I don't know. That's again, it goes back to the problem. I think 45 minutes is not long enough to tell a compelling Doctor Who story. Like Simon Pegg was brilliant in this episode, but he was on screen for like 90 seconds. Like, there was both too much going on and not enough, which is, I know those are alternate statements, but like they tried to introduce like 5 different things going on, but they never really fleshed out any of them.
On the other hand, imagine like having to, what if you could have not suffered through Turlo for however many episodes that was and just jettisoned him right away? It's perfect. We're not going to suffer fools on this cadre.
Keep Turlo, get rid of Tegan.
Oh, come on.
Ooh,
Sorry, I
shots
don't,
fired.
I don't like Tegan as a character in classic Who.
I will agree that I don't like her as a character, but I very much enjoy her as a critic of Doctor Who on the Blu-rays. When she's on the couch segments.
Oh yeah,
she's hilarious.
The actress is fine. Yeah. It's just
Tegan, the character. Yeah.
Tegan is like every improver's worst nightmare, which is someone who says no to every single prompt, and you're just like, come on, give me something to work with. Give me something to work with.
Yep, Simon Pegg. Oh, Retro Gaming 1981 says, wasn't Simon Pegg in Shaun of the Dead? He was, and he was also in something you should watch called Spaced.
And a few other things. Nick Frost makes an appearance eventually, but it takes a while.
So Simon Pegg appears in this as a character everyone on the internet thought was going to be the Master, but turned out like the other weird.
Yeah.
One, everyone thought that Adam with the thing in his head was going to turn out to be Davros.
Yep.
That was a really stupid theory of the internet at the time.
And yet they use the thing in the head for Daleks later anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah, just recycle. They paid so much for that effect. They just figured. But again, like I think the long game. Again, I think this is the first one my kids didn't like because they didn't get it. They're like, what happened? They're like, what happened, Dad? And I'm like, I have no idea.
Well, in retrospect, it sets up the finale of the season. I think that was its main purpose.
I guess. So let's move on. Let's move on to an episode written by one of my favorite Doctor Who writers, Paul Cornell. Now, I'm talking about Paul Cornell as the writer of New Adventures novels, where he created the character of Bernice Summerfeld. He ushered in a whole new, he did a ton with those. So I was expecting a lot for his first episode of the show. Father's Day was, I think, good. I think once again we have a character who, if had been given a bit more time, would have been more poignant. Does that, if that makes any sense? Because his time between finding out that he's Rose's father and dying is like 2 minutes. It's like really, really, like I know they brought him back in the next season, but it was not nearly as touching and not nearly the same. So I thought it was the whole idea of like establishing that in the universe of Doctor Who, you can't just keep getting do-overs. I thought that was important.
Yeah.
Because, yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was agreeing that it's setting up the rules for time travel, which Moffat may or may not break in a couple of years' time.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
As long as you're able to say timey-wimey, we're good with any possible thing. Yeah. But yeah, I thought it was. It was a very interesting episode. It's interesting to focus on the family of a companion. I think the only previous mentions we've had of family members are, of course, Susan Foreman being a grandchild, and we met like Tegan's aunt, or something. Like that's it.
For 2 minutes before
Yeah.
Exactly.
the master
Exactly.
kills her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, in general, like companions are considered, are like completely disconnected from their realities while they're traveling. And I think by establishing Rose's family, it really did,
Like,
give her that lasting impact with audiences.
yeah, they started doing something similar in the last season of the show, of the classic show,
Yeah.
with Ace and her mother issues, and then in
Yeah.
Curse of Finch, she meets her grandmother,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
her mother as a baby. But yeah, it's building. It's always funny to watch the last few years of the show and see that it's kind of naturally going to where the new series will kind of go in terms of drama, character drama, and
Well, and again, if you followed the New Adventures, it just absolutely continued that arc or whatever. And like, so I think it, for a lot of people, were really kind of shocked by the ways that Doctor Who went, but a lot of the writers who wrote those New Adventures went on to be writers in the show. So I think it naturally followed there. I don't know, Father's Day, it's a good episode, but like, I don't know. It just would have been nicer. Like almost every episode, I can just say would have been nicer if it would have been a two-parter. I think, because I think that's the thing. The breakneck pace doesn't allow enough. They spend a long time on like family drama and moments like that, but sometimes the story is just kind of like, sorry, we're having a moment right now, monsters. Can you just it's
which is weird because they have time for like 3 two-parters per season, and where they choose to spend it is sometimes very strange. I think there's only one good workable two-parter in this series, and it's coming up. But
ooh, nice lead in. Let's go there. Let's go there.
Yeah. I did just want to say before I lose that thread that I think, speaking of two-parters, they established back in not Aliens of London, Aliens of London, that because there's that tether to Rose's family and friends, that traveling with the Doctor makes them worry because he's real bad at his times and places, and Rose is gone for 12 months instead of 12 hours. And now that that's established, they can't go back and fix it. So people are used to that by this point, by the time Father's Day rolls around. But it's all like little nuggets of world building along the way that I don't think the previous series would have had time for, really. Like it's an interesting idea that gets used a lot more later.
Yeah. Oh no, definitely.
To quickly answer Retro Gaming 1981's second question, no, Susan has never come back in the modern show. At best, we've had there's a photo of her on the Doctor's desk in Capaldi's final season, and
now,
I have to jump ahead and my personal you've both seen The End of Time.
Unfortunately,
I haven't.
Okay,
I have not seen anything past Capaldi's second season.
For Tennant's final episode, the old lady who they imply is the
sorry,
mother,
yeah.
I'm
thinking of different. I'm thinking of a different episode. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, I've seen End of Time.
The old lady who keeps appearing to Wilf, who they kind of imply is the Doctor's mother, I think makes much more sense if that's Susan.
Sure.
Yeah.
But that's 4 seasons in the future.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, when you're talking about Susan, I mean, if you do go to the Doctor Who expanded universe, which there's debate over what's canon and what's not, she does some amazing audio adventures with Paul McGann about the Time War, and like she's very active right now in the expanded universe of Doctor Who. The actress who plays her, Carol Ann Ford, has done a lot of productions. So, but we're just talking about the series here. So no, she hasn't come back. Okay. The Empty Child and the Doctor dances. You've got Stephen Moffat. Now I might be the only one in the world, but I was looking forward to these episodes not because of anything, but because of his pedigree of the first Doctor Who episode he wrote, which is Doctor Who and the Curse of Fatal Death, which starred Rowan Atkinson as the Doctor. Well, not just Rowan Atkinson, Richard E. Grant, Hugh Grant, and Jim Broadbent and
Joanna Lumley
as the Doctor, and the Master was played brilliantly by Jonathan Pryce, who from Brazil and I suppose Pirates of the Caribbean. But
he was in a Bond film too.
Sure,
Tomorrow Never Dies, I think.
Everyone's been in a Bond film. If you're British, if you're British, when you're born, there you get a little punch card, and it's like you're going to be in one Harry Potter film, one episode of Doctor Who, and one Bond movie.
I get mistaken for Harry Potter, and I think I appeared in an episode of Bugs, but that's about it.
There you go. But anyway, so I was excited to see where he'd go with it because, again, that was a children in need special. It was nothing, but like the deep cuts that were in there. He's clearly a fan, and what's funny is like I don't know, just it captured the heart of Doctor Who, in a poking fun sort of way. So I was really excited to see what he was going to do, and it didn't disappoint. The Empty Child and the Doctor Dances, I'd say best episodes of the season. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
Sean, you gonna agree there?
So yes. In retrospect, because when I first watched them, I wasn't too enamored of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Sean, be honest.
Yes.
Were you scared of the gas mask zombies? There is no shame in saying that you were scared of the gas mask.
No, I was just tired of it by then. It's just like, oh, okay.
tired of what? Doctor
this
Who,
again. Or? No, just the sort of arc of villain throughout the series so far. It's just like, all right, they're going to resolve this. I'm not going to care. Wrong, by the way, but that's kind of the thing, right? Like this show was self-conscious enough to like play on its own tropes before it was over. Yeah. So A+ there, but like I would have said like Dalek and Father's Day were my top episodes if you had asked me 17 years ago. But
sure.
Yes, I agree in retrospect that these are the strongest ones. Like including like Rose begging the Doctor for some Spock, which I don't remember her saying ever, but it's like a thread throughout the two-parter. And as a much older and more mature and wiser adult, at least two of those are lies. Which ones are they? Like just sort of cements the idea that women thought Spock was hot. Who knew? Not me.
Not just women. All right.
Right. Captain Jack is definitely a Spock type, as she points out.
Captain Jack is such a slut. like I didn't pick up on it the first time, but he's flirting with every man, woman, or thing in that episode.
Yes.
It's just but what a great character. What a hilarious character. I unapologetically enjoyed Torchwood as well, but not because of much other than the characterizations. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I'll apologize profusely on the other hand, but I still liked it.
Yeah.
I like Torchwood Children of Earth, but you are going to need to point a gun at my head before I watch Torchwood Children of Earth, because that might be the most depressing piece of television ever made.
I watched it one time when it came out, and I was sitting there going, I think I've watched some of the best episodes of Doctor Who ever, and I shan't ever watch it again.
Yeah, it's some of the best TV sci-fi to ever come out to the UK. Like it was on, like when it came out, when it was released in the UK, it was Monday. It was on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and by Friday, I'm like, I want to kill myself for at least a week.
I mean, but that's the thing. I mean, it's obviously effective if pretty much everybody has that reaction to it. But anyway, but the empty child, you're introducing Captain Jack. You're getting an episode that takes place during the Blitz. You've got some amazing minor characters introduced, or whatever. The Doctor invites himself to a dinner with homeless children at the house. This is amazing scenes in there, and it's creepy. It's so freaking creepy. Like for days after we watched it, my kids were just going around the house going, "Are you my mummy?"
Nice.
It's like, and because there's that scene where it's like, well, if you don't think anything's wrong or whatever, she's, who's typing right now? Because and it's like, there's just some, it's like, scary. Yeah.
I would say this is the first time for me that Doctor Who was legitimately scary.
Yeah.
Beyond just like a weird special effect I didn't like at the time.
Yeah.
Like it's this and it's giant maggots. That's the scariest Doctor Who classic who ever got me with giant maggots. But this is really good horror. Like this is really good horror movie.
But
Stuff, and
but what's so amazing about it is it's one of the scariest episodes of Doctor Who, but it's also, by the end you find out, entirely a bloodless episode. Like nobody dies. Right. And like that's very good, because my kids were terrified up to that point, and it's like everybody lives, and my kids were actually like clapping at that point, because it was such a relief, and it was such, and like that's my favorite Christopher Eccleston moment right there, is like when he's like, just this once, it's everybody lives,
and that's it's a classic. It's got it has also, it's the scariest, but also I think some has some of the best comedy, especially when it's the Doctor, Jack, and Rose trying, and you got the Doctor and Jack competing with a banana. The Doctor swapping out Jack's gun with a banana is always great.
Bananas are good.
Bananas are good.
And that kind of reestablishes the Doctor as a bit of a pacifist or whatever, like the idea that he was the one who destroyed the plant that made the sonic guns. But there's a lot of sonic envy going on. It's
sonic compensation.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just a good episode all around. The way they go over the kids' heads by using the word dance when they're clearly implying something else. It's just, so I felt okay with my kids watching it, but I'm like, there is a lot going on here. It's.
Yes, bold of them to call that episode "The Doctor Dances." We don't know what they really mean.
Exactly. But I gotta say, like, I think, because it was so good, it makes the next episode land with such a wet thud. That's Boomtown. And I don't know. I guess they needed to get their budget in for how many times they say Cardiff in an episode. I don't know. Like,
really?
You liked Boomtown? Okay.
I didn't hate Boomtown.
I like the idea of Boomtown.
Yeah,
I like the idea that the Doctor has to deal with a villain in a way which is effective, which is what the Doctor very rarely does, which is he has to hand them over to the authorities. People always say that the Doctor is a very kind of pacifistic character, and I'm like, no. He, like 9 times out of 10, the Doctor tricks someone into blowing themselves up, into pushing the switch, and it's just like, he never actively pulls out a gun and shoots someone. He just
Colin Baker era, but okay.
Colin Baker, John Pertwee guns down a lot of Ogrons in Day of the Daleks. Peter Davison mows down a couple of Cybermen in Earthshock.
Sure.
But it's just like, the Doctor never has to actively participate in what is likely to be someone's gruesome execution
Sure.
through his own actions, it's a really good idea. They're like the bit where the doctor and the Slovene lady have dinner, and they both call each other on like their hypocrisies. It's just that then the show does what I think Doctor Who in the modern era does a bit too much, which is presents the Doctor with a moral conundrum in which he might have to go against his own morality to save the day. The problem with Modern Who is that it keeps making the Doctor repeat the one overarching plot point from the Time War, which is, do you blow everything up to save the day and make the Doctor feel sad? As we see it like towards the end of the season, it does that, rectifies it, but the show keeps repeating that plot strain, and it keeps having to bring in a third party to essentially knock the Doctor out, stick him in teleport, so they can commit the mass murder, so the Doctor can remain.
I mean,
clean.
That's been a plot point in Doctor Who since Genesis of the Daleks. Tom Baker had to decide whether he was going to wipe out the Daleks or not. And it keeps coming back. Boomtown had so much potential, but like the first half of it is just like a joke, like the Mickey, Captain Jack or whatever at a dinner where they're like talking about some joke, and I don't know. I thought it was funny. I thought it was great. And then you go into the idea of the main idea from the Slitheen is to ride a surfboard through the time vortex and I'm just like, oh, come on.
Yes, that is super lame.
It's just dumb. And then they have the scene the scene you're talking about where it's like, can you eat dinner with someone you're about to execute? But then they played the whole thing as a laugh. She tries to kill him 5 times, and then, but like, because of it, you never feel the sympathy that I think they're trying to go for.
Yeah.
You always hate her, so you always want the Doctor to finish her, and like. There was the real chance that they could have made her a sympathetic character right there. They really, really could have. And in the end, they did a little bit, and then they just they take the easy way out by going, okay, she's an egg now. We don't have to make any choice at all. There's the choice. So the Doctor once again gets to skirt responsibility.
Yeah.
It's just.
It's a really good plot point idea. They won't do anything similar until Capaldi meets Davros, where they actually make me feel sympathetic for Davros.
Sure.
Actually make me think Davros is going to turn. Why did I think Davros was going to reform? I am an idiot for shedding tears for Davros.
Yeah.
It's the same here too. Like the whole thing was just a long game by her to buy as much time as she possibly needed, and then you're like, oh, I feel silly for even having a semblance of a feeling for her, which as well you should. So
the one bit of that episode that I think lands really, really well is when she talks about sparing the one, like there's that one reporter or whatever, and who she lets go, and she's like, I let one go, and then the Doctor's like, yeah, that's how you can justify all the terrible things you do, because you're wearing a dead person's skin right now. I thought I think that's why I dislike Boomtown so much, is because it had the potential to be a really good episode.
The worst episodes of Doctor Who for me are the ones which give you so much potential and then never do anything good with it. Like Flux, the the recent season, had so much potential and then just kind of whizzed it down its leg.
Well, I was so distracted by Flux to be like, so when's this all gonna get undone? Oh, they're not gonna undo it? What does that mean for the show going forward?
It got undone between episodes. If we don't mention it, it's not a problem.
Good Lord.
All right, Bad Wolf.
So I just wanted to say about Boomtown that maybe it wasn't strong as an episode, but there were a lot of, it was trying to do a lot of work, like a lot of these one-offs are trying to do. Like it's setting us up for Bad Wolf and The Party on the Way is two-parter.
I guess.
It was one of those ones where it was at least trying to be introspective about itself. Like there are very few follow-ups within the show itself, and this is one of those times where it's like we have to kind of look back at our, like, first of all, we're trying to reform classic Who into something a modern audience can watch, but also we have to like look at ourselves, and like if they hadn't done that, I guess I would have respected them less.
I mean, I don't know, because they hadn't originally intended to do that, though. But like, it's a filler
But they
episode.
did
Like,
it.
Yeah.
but like, it was never even supposed to be part of the thing. They weren't able to film an episode that they wanted to do, and they needed a quick fill for that season. So like,
Sure.
it was not. I mean, in retrospect, it flows. But yeah, okay.
Cardiff is nice.
It looks not. Yeah. It looks
Cardiff
nice.
is,
Oh yeah,
I've been to Cardiff. Cardiff is lovely.
they're also trying really hard to set up Torchwood here. Like,
Nah, not so much. Torchwood starts getting set up from like Christmas Invasion, but
no, but I mean like the whole thing with the Rift. Like they reach
Oh, okay.
all the
Yeah.
way back to Unquiet Dead. Like they're so that's there are all these threads from the whole season that they're pulling together here that are like the little ones, and it's starting to feel like it's congealing here.
I've
in
been
good
in
and
that
bad.
square where the TARDIS parked. It's kind of weird to just stand there and go, "This is in Doctor Who.
this is rifty.
This is weird." I'm standing on top of the Torchwood base.
Also, Mickey finally gives Rose a piece of his mind for treating her so bad, for
Treating him
her
so
treating
bad.
him so bad.
Yeah.
Which was a long time coming. Like not to mention, it kind of puts into stark relief how bad of a boyfriend the Doctor is. Like,
Oh, yeah.
like the whole series up until this point, he's like this emotionally abusive older boyfriend. Like when Rose, like way back in the End of the World, is like rightfully like lambasting him for like being secretive about who he is, and he throws a big temper tantrum,
Yep.
and she has to forgive him because he's her ride home, and it feels so icky and squidgy that like she's got to turn like that and get back in his good graces because he's being a petulant child. And like that, if I were to like criticize the show, it'd be for like that, furthering that stereotype and not really commenting on it. And this is like, I feel as close as it gets, where Mickey's like, stop jerking me around. Stop jerking me around.
Oh my
Because
God.
you know that I'm in it for you always. Knock it off.
Oh, the Ninth Doctor is such a jerk to Mickey. Just absolutely undeservedly a jerk to him. And I know that part of it is because he's the boyfriend, ex-boy.
Right. He wasn't the character. He was a cipher when the show started, right? He was the dead boyfriend, and they didn't kill him.
Yeah. Boomtown was interesting as well in that Rose is definitely smitten with the Doctor, but she's agreeing to go to a hotel with Mickey, for the night. And it's like, and I don't remember that when I first watched it. It's not like I wasn't old enough to get it. I didn't remember that, but it's like, Rose, you're not a good person. You're like leading him on. You know what I mean? It's like,
Rose is selfish.
yeah.
Like that's her biggest flaw, is that she is, at the end of the day, for all her good points, for all like her good character traits, she is fundamentally a selfish person.
Yeah.
That's not like a bad, and that's not a bad thing for it's good that our heroic characters have these very kind of understandably easily defined flaws. It's not that she has this bad thing or she has this bad drama. It's like, yeah, she's 19 and acts it at times.
Yeah. So let's move on. Let's move on to Bad Wolf. And this is an episode I didn't mind so much when it came out, but again, just like End of the
I
World,
remember you complaining and the day it was just like, this will age poorly.
and man, has it ever aged poorly. I would rather watch Delta and the Bannermen than watch this again. Just, it's like I had to stop so many times to explain references to my daughter because they lean hard on you knowing the weakest link. They lean hard on you knowing Big Brother and on a bunch of other like.
Was Big Brother ever a thing in Japan? In Japan, I know that there was like a US version. Okay,
Yeah, it was never.
Lucky Japan.
Like Japan reality shows are, here's someone's famous, let's make them eat something weird. You know, it's like it's very different. Or this person was a comedian, let's climb Mount Everest. You know, that's something that happened. You know, it's very different. But
is Takeshi's Castle reality TV?
I don't know. Maybe it's, but the thing is, I think to be reality TV, it has to be very much like based on the personalities of the contestants. And Takeshi's Castle was never about the contestants; it was always about the spectacle. So, but like it. First of all, some of those shows never. I think even the U.S. audiences have no idea. Like when they're listing off the shows, like this is Stars in Their Eyes, where they have stars that burn out your eyes, and it's like, okay, I don't know what that show is. I can guess, you know, but like, just there's so much pop culture in that, and it's an android. But just in case you didn't get it, I'm going to say it 8 more times because it's because you know Weakest Link, which is the most popular show right now, has someone named Anne, and she's actually the voice of the robot. You know, like my daughter actually asked me, she's like, why does he keep saying it like that? Or she's saying it like the android or whatever. Shouldn't it be android? And I'm like, yeah, it should. It really should. You know, it's just a try hard episode. It's really cringe watching it right now. There's a few good moments, like the even though they know that they're contestants on a show that like they're probably going to die on, they're like, am I popular, you know, out there? And, you know, do people like me, you know? But
it's the very deep satire. It's very deep, multi-leveled satire. No. It's just, I don't know. It's just such a stretch or whatever. And like, I mean, it seems like the whole episode was set up to show Jack Harkness's butt, and then they don't even do that. You know, it's like,
then you would have seen where he kept his gun.
That's a good point. Sean, say good things about Bad Wolf as an episode.
I can't.
Right?
I can.
Okay, Miles.
Okay. All right. When the doctor thinks Rose is dead, and you think that he's actually gonna go on a kill rampage with the big gun, and he doesn't. I love the revelation, which the next episode trailer spoils by revealing it's Dalek.
Oh my god, I hate that so much.
I love the fact that the Dalek flying saucers look like the ones from the old TV 21 Dalek comic strip of the 60s. I'm basic. I'm basic bitch when it comes to shit stuff like that. And I love how the cliffhanger isn't the doctor's in a huge catastrophe. What's he gonna do? Mm-hmm. The cliffhanger is the Daleks know the doctor is coming, and he's pissed off, and they have no clue what. I love how the cliffhanger is the doctor's coming. Be afraid. Be very afraid. And his speech when the doctor says, "No, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to save her. I'm going to rescue Rose Tyler. And then I'm going to blow every single Dalek out of the sky. I have no plan, and that terrifies you."
Yep. That was a good moment. I mean, And the episode that follows Bad Wolf is not nearly as bad as Bad Wolf. So, I mean, it sets that up nicely. Would you consider Bad Wolf and the Parting of Ways a two-parter?
Yes.
I guess, yeah.
Yes.
They feel like different stories to me. They really do, but...
They have very different tones. Like,
yeah.
Parting the Ways is just apocalyptic at times.
And I think I enjoyed that about their general approach to two-parters is that they, even if you're continuing the same story, it does try and make it a different episode, like up to and including the cliffhangers are resolved in mere moments when the episode starts. Like, we're not going to drag this out. It's going to be something dumb and silly sometimes. It's going to be like a quip. They carry that even through into the next series where, like, after the stinger, they'll resolve a weird moment like the ood. It's like they want to eat. Oh, we want to feed you. Sorry, I didn't. Our translation didn't work.
Yeah.
Like I enjoy that bit of it. I think the only good thing about Bad Wolf, I guess, was it was a follow up to the Satellite 5 thing, where the doctor's like, I fixed history, and then it's like, it's been 100 years and things are still garbage.
History.
Yeah. That's the only thing I could think of is he was so sure of himself, and he was wrong.
Yeah, but I wish they would have leaned more into that. Like, nothing seems to have any particular consequence. Like, there was much more of a it felt like much more of a consequence in Aliens of London, where he returned Rose a year late.
Yeah.
Like, he seemed to feel much more guilty about that than, like, ruining human civilization.
That's true.
But that's the thing. That's the thing about this series, though. It's like Rose is more important than the universe, so...
Right.
But anyway, Parting of Ways. I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker for seeing the Daleks back and seeing a bunch of Daleks all at once, and they've been established, and it's fun. But it's kind of a dumb episode. It's like, how are we going to save the universe? We're going to attach a rope to a truck, and we're going to open up the TARDIS because it had the power to do this from the beginning. It's just Rose figured it out, but the Doctor had no idea. And it's
the TARDIS loves the Doctor more than the TARDIS loves the Doctor more than the universe. I love as much as I'm not a fan of Daleks being the shooty kill monsters.
Yeah,
I do like it in this story because I once read someone's a friend of mine had this theory that everything the Daleks are doing in this story, because they've been built from human DNA, is essentially the Daleks are basically trying to goad the Doctor into blowing them all up because they hate themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
And
they live through me.
Nice big Dalek Emperor. Haven't seen one of those in a while.
Yeah.
The Doctor, saying nul point.
Yeah,
because every American loves the Eurovision Song Contest reference.
Of course,
that's become popular over the last few years.
Is that what that's from?
Nil point is like the joke, because they say all the points in different languages. Yeah. England usually gets nil point in Eurovision because we suck.
Good Lord!
Miles,
I would not have caught that.
Miles, that is my first time realizing that, and just from now knowing that.
You hate me a little bit more.
No. I've changed my whole opinion on the Ninth Doctor era, and now I think it was brilliantly written, and it all comes together for me now. That was the bit I was missing.
That was it. The missing link, the weakest link, if you will.
Goodbye.
Good Lord.
Goodbye.
There are other like small little things, right? Like Boomtown introduced the idea of the heart of the TARDIS.
Yeah.
Right? Like there are subtle things that they're doing to set up stories that aren't in and of themselves aren't good, but at least they're trying.
The heart of the TARDIS is if this is our one season, this is our ending. This is our finale moment.
Yeah. But like it feels to me like they copied the ending of the Paul McGann movie, where he opens the Eye of Harmony and they're able to bring the companion back to life. Like when they did it, it was like, I think they've done this before, and like I don't.
They
At
only
least
killed Captain Jack to bring him back. That was the only point in doing it.
Yeah.
Because they were setting up Torchwood.
At least
Yeah.
they didn't say that the Doctor was half human.
No, on my mother's side.
Yeah, on my mother's yet.
No, but instead they made the Daleks half human.
Yep. Then you have the pseudo companion.
Yeah.
Who I would say dies in, out of all the characters who we get introduced to for 5 minutes and then get melted.
Yeah.
She gets introduced for 10 minutes and then gets explosive decompression to death, and it's really sad, especially when you see the Daleks fly up behind her and you see the lights flashing saying exterminate, but you don't hear it, and that's just somehow more heartbreaking.
Yeah. I'll. Yeah. I guess. Yeah. That was. Yeah. I'm just trying to piece together. The moment that was pretty good was when Rose is in whole bad wolf mode, which again I never thought was explained well enough. How she left clues all through history to tell her, but she decided to call it bad wolf, which doesn't
Who's afraid of the big bad wolf?
It's the predestination paradox. The reason why that's the clues is the reason why she chooses them as the clues is because it's always been the clues. It's.
I guess.
It's
but
kind of it's a bootstrap paradox technically.
Yeah. But when she is in that mode and she just liquefies a bunch of Daleks, there was a part of me that like, oh, it was pretty cool.
I love the scene with the Doctor putting his hands on the lever and again making the choice coward or killer.
Yes.
And he chooses coward any day.
Yeah.
I was going to call back to that because that was a wonderful way to bring her back around to that first episode, and it's also a great push forward to the Day of the Doctor, right? You go through this, and it's like he has this horrible guilt for burdening everyone, and you realize he can't do it. He never could have done it, and that never made any sense. And I feel like Moffat fixed that, even though it didn't necessarily need fixing, and yet it did, right? Because it was this huge chip in his shoulder that was not internally consistent.
Well, one of the cool things was it was almost a callback to episode 6 when the dying Dalek goes, or early on you would make a good Dalek. And that whole thing is, would he have made that the choice of a Dalek? So yeah.
Also, this is going back throughout the season. I remember one of the big complaints was that the Christopher Eccleston Doctor always seemed to be on the sidelines.
Yeah,
and I always thought it as it's less that he's on the sidelines, is that he's trying to not be the one who has to make the choices. He's inspiring, he inspires people to step up. Right. To make the choice, even if it's the hard one. It's to, like Rose says, he inspires people to be better. And then when it comes to when he's made to make the choice himself, he chooses not to because he can't do it again.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think I'll tell you what, rewatching the episodes now after having seen what is coming through again, where you find out that he followed the War Doctor, and you find out more about that, and you find out that Paul McGann's Doctor made the choice to be a fighter, and then this one is post-traumatic stress disorder or whatever, and it explains the erratic behavior a little more. But when I watched it the first time without any of that context, because the context hadn't been written yet, I was just like, he's goofy when he doesn't need to be, and then he's dark suddenly. Do you know what I mean? He'd be like, look at my ears are so big. All my people are dead. It's just, and that annoyed me so much because it was because it's, we had that with McCoy. He's like, I'm going to do a magic trick right now. Okay, I'm good.
Strokes knew the magic trick killed you.
Yeah, basically.
Do you know what Eccleston needed? He needed to play the spoons more. There you go.
I'll tell you what Eccleston needed. He needed a second season.
What
Because
did
I
he?
feel like he grew into the role. Like by the end, I think most people were sad to see him go, even the
Right.
haters. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think because the early episodes and Bad Wolf, I don't know, like and some of the episodes, like he didn't have enough. I think because he had the weight, the baggage of restarting this whole series on him. So like because of that, he had to be everything. He had to be goofy enough to keep the kids entertained. He had to be big and bold, but he had to have that darkness to keep the mystery up. And like I feel like Dave Tennant was able to just jump right into being the Doctor because of all the grunt work that was done by Eccleston. Yeah.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's just like, it was with David Tennant that the show skyrocketed in its popularity. So it's that kind of like, it's with the Sean.
I know people go back and forth about whether or not like it was planned, and I don't think it was planned this way.
I definitely don't think it was planned, but I think that when whatever happened that made Eccleston quit happened early enough that they could roll with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Apparently it was disagreements with Russel T Davies, actually. So,
I heard that it was like a stunt for like the first episode went wrong and could have hurt somebody. And then when Eccleston brought it up to the production staff, they sided with the director and not with Eccleston. And like Eccleston, made the choice on principle. At the same time, it's one of those ones that like the production side are on pressure to make this show, which is a lot of money, even by British TV standards.
Oh yeah.
To make this show, and again, if it fails, it's going to be one of the most notorious bombs of modern day TV.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So like it feels like having him leave so soon, while it was a shock to us, like it might have been necessary for the show's concept to work. I don't know about necessary, but it didn't hurt it, right? Like
no.
I wonder, like, especially after watching the next series, is this the tightest and most concise the show has ever been?
I maintain. Oh, Sean knows my opinions already on this one, so I know what he's doing.
Yeah,
he's doing in I think, in some ways, the Russel T Davies era of the show is never this consistently strong again.
Not even his era.
I feel like they go into this with they have nothing to lose. So if they failed, they tried, and then after that, they kind of play it a little bit safer. In some ways, they push it in others, but I think the show becomes a victim of its own success, and that it gets stuck into this is how we do it.
I suppose my favorite episodes of this season are the ones not written by Russel T Davies, though. I mean, my favorite episodes of this season are The Unquiet Dead, written by Mark Gatiss, sort of, or Dalek, Robert Sherman, the Father's Day, Paul Cornell, and Empty Child, Stephen Moffat. I wonder if that name will be important later.
I can't imagine.
And but the thing is, but I realize as the showrunner that even those episodes are definitely, Russel T Davies.
He said that he did a lot of like behind this of editing behind this. I think only Robert Sherman and Stephen Moffat were the two writers he didn't extensively rewrite on.
Yeah.
But at the same time, with the showrunner, you've got to do all the connecting tissue. So
exactly.
You can do it. Okay, it's not easy to write a Dr. Dance's no. But you don't at the same time you don't have to do all the little connecting tissue to make all the moving pieces work.
But like, I mean, the thing is, like, going through this season again surprised me in that some of the things I didn't like the first time, I was a little more convinced, a little more forgiving of, and some of the things I liked, I was like, oh, it's really, it's not like some of the dialogue is just dumb, and I didn't and the music. It's the same composer who's been through all Doctor Who, and it gets better. But like, listen to the music from Rose, like it's so bad. It's just like
it's a sonic assault, and I have a hard time watching that episode just because of how much my ears hurt. And a klaxon is not a musical instrument. I don't care how many times you use it. It's not.
You're just not thinking outside the box, Sean.
I'll show you a box.
Well, the box is bigger on the inside.
Look, as an aficionado of the BBC Radiophonic Workshop, you work with what you got.
That's true.
Even if it is like a shuffleboard and a Yamaha synthesizer.
Good Lord.
There you go.
To be fair, that's what modern Who needs. It needs more musical cues, which is quite clearly some with like a thimble and a washboard going. Quick, get the comb and a cling film.
Things calm down a bit later, like you guys mentioned, but like the way that it comes together is because, like, think about how long it's been since there's been proper Doctor Who. Think of how long they had to like write and consider this show, and then like realize in retrospect that they had to kind of run on fumes from this point on, right? Like they like every good idea they had, they like Miles insinuates, they had to throw in now. Not say they don't have any other ones, it's just they don't have time to like reset to the next thing. And the reason I bring this up is because we didn't mention at the top of the show, but RTD's back for these specials in 2023. He's back as a new showrunner for at least the next season. So I would expect, typically 3 years and a few specials is what showrunners get minimum. Hopefully it goes well, but like coming back into the show with the perspective that like this is how he revived Who, and listening to him talk now about how much time he has to write the episodes, I'm relieved because of how good this first series turned out when he had the time and how much time he has now.
It's interesting because when I heard that he was coming back, I actually felt a little bit disappointed because I remembered from the first season not liking his spin on a lot of things, not liking his episodes as much as the other people. But yeah, listening, talking about this and finding out, but Doctor Who to be a mainstream hit, maybe we need Russel T Davies back. Do you know what I mean? Because the ratings have been going down lately, and if nothing else, he just has a way of bringing a lot of people into it.
I think he has a way of making it accessible.
Yeah,
and that that's kind of that's as much as I like them off that era, the Chibnall era. Yeah, I think it's definitely been it's the most Colin Bakery the show has been, where so much of the show is really dependent on the skills of the lead performer. And to be fair, Colin Baker's working with the handicap of that coat, which one day I will commission a cosplay making friend of mine to make that coat.
Yes.
Colin Baker. Say what you will about the whole John Nathan Turner era of Doctor Who, but like the stuff he's done post the television stuff.
Colin Baker for Big Finish is the greatest thing Big Finish gave us, which is material which makes Colin Baker work beyond Colin Baker's natural charm as an actor.
Colin Baker was like in an arc that I think if he would have been given that the real second season rather than Trial of the Time Lord, the one that was planned, would have turned him into a much more, the idea was to make you hate him at first, but they never got to the point where you like him. And then they changed the format to that trial setting, and it just, Colin Baker really got the short end of the stick.
Now I understand your comment better, Miles, because it feels like Flux was just that thing for Jodie Whittaker. Oh, I'm so angry.
Blame COVID.
Ooh,
well,
Mark,
there's that too.
Wonderful comment, Mark. Do you think if this was your first time watching Doctor Who, you would like it better? Yes. Like my daughter super enjoyed the first because she had no baggage to go with it. She watched it although she does like David Tennant better now that I think that's better for kids. He's funnier, but at the same time a very powerful actor. But she was very sad when Christopher Eccleston died. Again, she needed the Rose character to pull her through that because. But Mark, you were telling me earlier that you stopped watching after the Ninth Doctor because you didn't like David Tennant. So I think that's very interesting. And I know I've talked to other people who felt the same way, that the people who started Doctor Who with the Ninth Doctor, that was their Doctor. And when it changed to what we Whovians considered more of a classic type Doctor, that's not what they wanted.
I've been very public in saying I like David Tennant as an actor. Out of the modern Doctors, the 10th Doctor is honestly my least favorite.
Interesting.
It's just I don't like the way the direction his character goes. I think he gets more into the morose and PTSD, and I wanted kind of that more sort of adventure-y. And Matt Smith was my favorite modern Doctor for the longest time until Peter Capaldi came out in the second season of his second season on a tank playing electric guitar wearing shades, and at that point Peter Capaldi was my modern Doctor. Don't at me.
There's context there. And
no, I don't want to hear it.
I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I will tell you how much I hated that moment when it first occurred. I'm like, come on. But it's because they were trying to do a thing with him before that.
They were trying to do what they did with Colin Baker, and where you have the character be someone you don't like, and then slowly kind of change your opinion. And I think they did what they did with Trial, which is they do a very much quicker about turn. Mm-hmm. But I think the guitar gives the Capaldi character like a prop that says so much about him as a character. It's like Troughton and the recorder.
Yeah.
It's like John Pertwee and Bessie. It's a prop which tells you so much about who this character is. Like the idea that Peter Capaldi is this kind of like this aged rock star Time Lord just busting his way through the universe gives him so much more of a character edge than just he's a guy who gets into scrapes.
Like
Peter Capaldi is like your midlife crisis Doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah. You think that you want the magician and the mysterious whatever, but you really want the guy in the hoodie. That's who he becomes. It's wonderful.
But Dave Tennant is I think is his era is defined by his companion. You've got Rose the girlfriend, and that's the really high point when a lot of people really like Dave Tennant. And then you've got Martha Jones the rebound.
Yeah.
And but by the time
Martha's
by the time you get to Donna, it's just the friend. You know what I mean? Like,
Donna is my favorite of his companions.
And that's why they're bringing her back too.
Yeah.
Even though her mind will burn, as they said.
Yeah. But
guess not.
They said that when everyone turned into the Master, so...
Yeah. I mean, timey-wimey.
Right, and he's technically not the same Doctor.
Sure.
Technically a little different. A little older.
He's older.
He's a little wiser.
Yeah.
He's been a woman now. He has a better perspective.
Hopefully he won't be. You won't have so many like toxic masculine traits as the 10th Doctor did, because when I met David Tennant at Wizard World, it didn't help that I had basically like binge watched the first season of Jessica Jones, and it doesn't help that he basically plays plays Kilgrave as the 10th Doctor, who is quite happy being an asshole. I said arse, so I'm not swearing.
Yeah, we got it. I heard it.
That's fine. That's fine. And you know what?
The non-rhotic R was in there.
You probably should have just watched the first couple seasons of DuckTales before meeting him. Then you'd have a different perspective.
Well, then I'd have to travel backwards and forwards in time.
Oh, yes.
Lord.
I met Colin Baker and I met Sylvester McCoy. And like,
I am envious of both. I've met David Tennant, and that's it.
It was at a convention called Visions in Chicago, and you know, I'll tell you what, I was too nervous to say anything really to Colin Baker. I just got the photo and got an autograph, and I was done. But like, I was a little bolder when I met McCoy the year later, and I like talked with him for like 5 minutes, like, because I saw him just wandering around, and I'm like,
he does that.
Yeah. And he did stand up. There was this variety show thing. Oh, and I had dinner with the one who played Victorious, Second Doctor era, because there was like a celebrity luncheon, and we were randomly assigned to tables.
Oh wow!
What Deborah Watling, I think.
Watledge.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, and she was just telling just very, very funny stories, but I hadn't seen any Second Doctor other than Tomb of the Cybermen, so I didn't have and I was 17, so I was much younger than everyone else at the table, and I was like, yeah, but it was love to meet some of them again. But Retro Gaming 81 met Peter Davidson, Colin Baker, and Sylvester McCoy at a Comic-Con. Wow,
nice. Yeah, I met Sylvester McCoy at a convention, but I was like 7 or 8, so it was a little more intimidating. And my dad did most of the talking because he's the one that brought me to the convention.
Yeah.
I was there for when Peter Davison attended one. He told a couple of his favorite stories. One about who plays Tegan. I can't remember her name all of a sudden.
Oh, blank. Gone blank.
Yeah. Anyway,
Janet
Fielding.
That's
Fielding.
it.
We're all good Doctor Who fans.
One of his. Well, I'm just getting old and I can't remember things anymore. Like one of his favorite stories is about like how he tricked her into like making her dress fall off. Hilarious.
Hilarious.
And the next one's about the Rice Krispies all over his face because of the makeup effects. But I don't remember details about either of those anymore because it was 35 years ago.
Give or take.
Yeah. But I would meet any of the new ones now, and apparently there are places where that happens now, but stupid COVID. So maybe someday I'd love to meet Jodie Whittaker or Peter Capaldi. It'd be great.
Sadly, all my name-dropping celebrity meeting stories usually tend to be I ended up in a pub with this award-winning sci-fi writer once.
There you go.
Due to serendipity and just somehow like no one's saying, get up, go, get out.
Man.
Yep.
And
that's that. I don't meet anybody anymore. This is
true.
the first people. This is the first people I've met in a very long time. This chat right now.
Oh no. We'll have to fix that at some point, somehow, some way.
Indeed.
But it was good to have Miles on because I've been harassing him with Casual Trek since before it aired.
Yeah.
So I didn't even realize it was Monday this week, as I told him earlier.
It was Boxing. You missed the Boxing Day episode.
I was busy with Christmas things, so maybe I'll be able to have a chance to watch it.
Oh, it's Christmas. What a tired, drawn out excuse that is.
Oh Lord. So we've talked a lot about the classic stuff, and then we mentioned that there's a new era of Doctor Who on the way. So Miles and his co-host Charlie did a great breakdown of Jodie Whittaker's Power of the Doctor special finale. So I think we're going to drop that into this feed after this episode, so that it'll help lead you all into 2023 and what to expect in November when we finally get new Doctor Who.
Is that when it's been confirmed for it?
Yeah,
because the trailers make it look like it's a lot farther along than it.
Yeah.
It is. Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Like they're filming the next season right now with Ncuti Gatwa, and what's her face? I have the character's name and the actress's name mixed up, so I can't even. Ruby Sunday's the character's name.
Something
yeah,
like
so I don't remember what her actual name is. But yeah, that's how far ahead. Like he was bragging how he's writing next Christmas's episode now because he's got that much lead time, and I think that's going to make it that much better. But yeah, it's all done.
Mean, Doctor Who needs something right now because we are sadly we're past the heyday or whatever ratings wise. Not necessarily. I mean, people will always be divided about quality, just like in this era, they're going to be divided about whether it was a quality. It was not just a quality, but Doctor Who is going to need something to bring it back into public consciousness a little bit more. And frankly, I think what that needs is regular episodes. Well, I don't mean regular. I don't mean regular like normal, but I mean like a predictable season.
Yeah, it needs a sustainability. I'm looking forward to the fact that after he left, Russel T Davies did Years and Years and It's a Sin, which have been two very well acclaimed, very politically charged dramas. So I hope that we're going into this show with a Russel T Davies who was just like, nope, I am not gonna hold back on what I feel, because I feel, especially if you read some of his much darker stuff, that RTD was definitely kind of writing in a deliberate vein and tone, which slowly started to come out by the time he was leaving. But I really hope we get more of that kind of anger in his writing, with stuff like Turn Left and Waters of Mars, and less the aliens fart. And
so the
android.
I don't disagree with you, but on the other hand, like looking back on it, it feels like all of that stuff served a purpose. Like on one hand, it tickled his funny bone, and I appreciate that. But on the other hand, it really does seem like it ingratiated himself to people, and I think Chibnall got stuck in the problem where he had to take seriously bad faith criticisms, and his BBC bosses felt like he had to do that also, and that's just not the way to do it.
No, I want a Doctor Who showrunner who essentially said what Andrew Cartmel said when he became script editor back in the 80s, which is, I want to use Doctor Who to bring down the Thatcher government. And I basically want Russel T Davies to go, I want to make the Doctor Who that burns down the Tory party.
Well, listen. It's harder.
Sorry, I got a bit too political there. I had an opinion.
It's harder when, in reality, they're burning through prime ministers faster than this last season. This one we're talking about did. It's reality is making parody impossible.
Yep.
You've got prime ministers that have lasted shorter than Paul McGann's screen time.
Don't get me started on prime ministers.
Should we talk about the lettuce?
We always talk about the lettuce. Oh man,
I'll tell you,
man.
But don't. Go ahead.
Lettuce. Oh, I love the lettuce.
I think that should be a gauge for pretty much anything. I mean, it really should. And don't worry, if anybody says anything too controversial, what we're going to do is we're going to open the heart of the TARDIS, and you're going to be reverted into an egg, so no one can criticize your opinion. So, because that's how we get out of sticky situations.
I'm just going to open my mouth, and it's just going to edit Sean just saying in a really bad English accent. I have no opinions whatsoever on politics.
Crikey, I love all politics.
There we go. Crikey, I like Boris Johnson. I like the cut of Boris Johnson's jib.
Oh no, I mean I didn't make you say that.
I want Happiness Patrol Parts 2, 3, and 4. I want sequels. I want the return of the Candyman.
I think Delta and the Bannerman deserves its own spin-off series.
I think the Greatest Show in the Galaxy should have its own spin-off because that's a bloody brilliant one.
It is. I think.
Like I want the weird. I want like good weird sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want stuff like Ghostlight. I want stuff like The Greatest Show in the Galaxy. I want Kinder. I want a Doctor Who story like Kinder.
I want Paradise Towers.
Oh, God, yes, please.
No, but
ironically, I'm just naming my wife's favorite classic Who stories at this point. She likes the weird ones.
But the thing is, like that's the thing. A weird one would be nice. Like, and there's weirder ones, but like they don't know. I mean, we just hit. We're watching in order, and I'm going to eventually get caught up to the current season, which I'm not, because the erratic release schedule is why I fell off the wagon, and then no streaming service in Japan has Doctor Who anymore. So like, I've been buying up Blu-rays or whatever, and I've got some old DVDs of David Tennant, but those are going to run out, so I'm going to have to probably buy some going forward. But we're up in our watch right now. We are up to Love and Monsters, which is a weird one.
That's one I came around on after a while.
I 2/3 love that episode and 1/3 hate that episode because
That's fair.
It's the setup is so great because it's just absolutely making fun of us. It's just absolutely making fun of us. But then they introduced the most annoying monster in the history of the series.
The Absorbaloff from Planet Plon.
Oh my god!
Just I when you finally show your kids Blink,
Yeah.
I want to know. I have to tell a story.
Yeah, tell me a story.
When Rihanna was watching Doctor Who on Rock Club, we were still living in different countries. When it came to Blink, I said to her, "Okay, to watch Blink, you need to watch this with the curtains closed and the lights out, and you need to watch in total darkness." I didn't know she would take me seriously. And nope. I believe her response was, "You bastard."
No, like I'm of two minds whether I can. I'm wondering if I should just skip that, because that episode is pure nightmare fuel.
That is like legitimately horror movie scary.
Yeah,
but like you're gonna get to the Weeping Angels eventually.
Yep.
Yeah, because they're gonna.
How old are your kids?
Well, the one that's really into Doctor Who right now is 13, and I think she can handle it. Although and the other one who watches it is 10, and like she's maybe gonna not watch that one. I don't know.
I think 10. I think 10. I think as someone who doesn't have any kids and has never raised any kids whatsoever, so therefore,
please tell me all your opinions.
It's perfectly legitimate. I don't know. I think 10 is like too young for Blink. 13, yeah, it's fine. I was watching way worse stuff at 13.
Well, yeah. I mean, yes.
Yeah, I was watching Delta and the Bannerman.
You know, we keep coming back to Delta and the Bannerman, but you know what? I unironically love that episode. I unironically love that, and I think and as much as I love Sophie Aldred as Ace, one of my favorite companions, Ray would have made a good companion too. The character. Delta and the Bannerman is a dumb story. Like the plot is ridiculous, but like there's so many wonderful moments. There's so many fantastic actors working with an absolutely garbage script.
And then there's Ken Dodd.
Yeah.
Ken Dodd, the comedian who quite famously died live on TV on stage.
What?
Yeah, Ken Dodd, who plays like the traffic.
Yeah, the
No, hang on. No, sorry. I'm getting my weird vaudevillian British comedians mixed up.
Okay.
I'm thinking about Tommy Cooper, who
okay.
used to wear the fez, who quite literally died on stage, on like live TV, but people thought it was part of his act. So it's really uncomfortable. Like you can see a guy who's clearly dead, and his body is twitching in its death throes, and the audience are laughing. And then someone realizes it and drops the curtain, and the audience are like applauding because they think this is all part of his routine.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's how I want to go.
Very, very Andy Kaufman.
But I mean, there's, and I maybe it's because that's the era I watched when I was young. I started with Peter Davison near the tail end of it. The first episode I ever watched that I knew the program was Doctor Who was Frontios, which is, yeah, it's not a great episode to start with. Tractators! Okay, but...
Blake Seven called, they want their helmets back.
Yeah, exactly. But that's really at the end of Peter Davison, and I, saw him regenerate into Colin Baker, and Colin Baker was an acquired taste. Oh my God, but like, I grew to really like the stories, and kind of the fact that you didn't know exactly if the Doctor was a good guy anymore was very appealing at that age. I was in junior high school, or whatever when I was watching these as reruns. Obviously, I wasn't. And that moral ambiguity was actually really kind of deliciously interesting at the time. And that kind of carried into Sylvester McCoy. And then I started reading the books, which are way darker than the show. And I think that's maybe one of the reasons why the new Doctor Who seemed a little too silly to me, because
a lot of people I know who are Wilderness Years era fans kind of felt like the new show was a step down because it's not being written. Like, I didn't read I read a lot of the Virgin books later, and I read more of like the Paul McGann, like BBC books era.
Okay, yeah.
Which are not as explicit, but I think they go into much more weirder literary, like they kind of go into much more weirder and literary areas. Like where I see them is like the 90s New Adventures are like cyberpunk, because that was the big vein. And then you've got the BBC stuff where it's clearly everyone is reading Grant Morrison comics, Neil Gaiman, and you have that kind of very much more literary strangeness, which I dig. And then people came onto the new show and like, this is a kid's show. Yep. How dare they make my my strange gritty book series a colorful kid show?
Oh my! The Virgin New Adventures or whatever were just like someone at the BBC like signed off on it and never read a single one. No, you know what I mean?
They never read Damaged Goods.
And oh my goodness!
I finally got a copy of that for my birthday a couple of years ago. And I read Damaged Goods for the first time this year. Oh dear God! Russel T Davies was holding himself back.
Oh yeah.
On shared like social commentary and companions getting oral sex acts in the backs of taxis in Thatcher's Britain.
It's just, but again, but I think that goes back to that question they were asking earlier. Like, if this was your first exposure to Doctor Who, would it be a good one? And I think it would be. I think my feeling of not enjoying this series as much as a lot of people is because I was too much of a Doctor Who fan, and the expectations for it were really high.
I know a lot of people who this was their first exposure to Doctor Who, and they've only ever seen the modern stuff, and then have come to me asking, okay, so how do I watch classic Who? Well, it's easier for a classic series watcher to go to modern Who than it is for a modern fan to go to classic Who, because we don't make TV doesn't get made like that anymore, and that
it's very slow.
That's the biggest hurdle you have to jump, because you've got this is all very much being made as like movie for TV. Whereas like 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s drama for British TV was very much like, this is a play that we're getting on videotape.
Yeah, I was reading about the shooting schedules during like the Hartnell era, and
Oh,
they had a 2-hour block to record the episode.
because 5 o'clock hits, lights
Yeah.
get shut off,
Yep.
everyone goes to the pub. God, I miss 1960s work life. I miss British 1960s work life culture.
Yeah.
5 o'clock, done, good, off to the pub. Let's have a pint.
Just
Pint and a pie.
amazing. But I'll tell you, this is the way that I'm introducing Classic Who to my daughter. We watched through the first season of Doctor Who. She liked it. She understood a little about the mythology or whatever. We got to second series and we watched the episode School Reunion, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Where Sarah Jane Smith is reintroduced to the show, and she thought, "Wow, Sarah Jane Smith is a good character." And it's like, oh, if only because I want to show her the Sarah Jane adventures, and I probably will if I can find a way to get them.
It's a good show.
Yeah, it's
but
fun.
like
it's fun kid stuff.
But it's gonna have a tragic end. You know what I mean? And but the thing is, but she liked that character a lot, so I bought Tom Baker season 1.
Yep.
It would have been nice to buy Pertwee series 5, but it doesn't exist yet. But
okay.
then we could have got the introduction of Sarah Jane. But anyway, it's a good place to start. So today we watched Robot.
Oh.
And she's like, this is a lot slower, but she liked it was funny, She thought Sarah Jane was a really good character. She liked when she's like showing her pass and the guy goes on the phone and she just jumps the gate and goes there. She's like, oh, she's doing it herself. And I'm like, yes. She's not always going to be like that in every episode. Depends who's writing her, but
yeah.
But she's a great character.
Sarah Jane Smith, the hard-bitten feminist, as written by two British dudes from the 70s.
Exactly.
I would have gone with Ark in Space. As like, because I felt good.
Well, that's the thing. Ark in Space is the next episode.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be. So we watched the 10 minutes before I came on here, we watched the trailer for Ark in Space. She's like, "This looks good." And I'm like,
so
"Yeah."
You doing it? Then you're trying to do it as chronologically as you can.
Well, again, we're skipping back between New Who and Classic Who, but like she really liked the Daleks or whatever. So like we've got Robot, then we go on Ark in Space, and then we may or may not watch Sontaran Experiment, but we got Genesis of the Daleks right there, and that's a great episode, and that really holds up really well. And then we got Revenge of the Cybermen, who she just saw Cybermen in. So I think it's a really good season to start with. So. But I don't know. I don't know if it'll keep her interest as much because it's definitely slower. It's definitely cheaper, And she's like, "That's a doll," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's
Are you watching it? I'm just kind of curious. Are
Sure.
you watching it all in one batch? Are you watching it episodically, like you watch like one story over a couple of days, or are you watching it like basically you're watching a movie? Like
we're watching. We never have that much TV time in a row because I've got 4 kids, so they're always fighting over it. So we watched Robot over the course of 3 days. We watched like an episode and a half the first day, and I think that's a good way of doing it because I think it's better in small doses actually. But if we have some of the cliffhangers are really good and you really want to watch the next one, and some of them are like, this is a good stopping point because there's clearly no danger here. But yeah. So what do you think, Sean? You think your kids are gonna become Whovians in the future?
I mean, they're aware of it, but it's not something they've really expressed interest in watching. And I know, my wife dropped off in the Matt Smith era because of how creepy it got. And then I just finished up David Tennant's first season, and it's just it's even like bloodier without the blood, if that makes sense.
No, I get you.
Yeah.
Like there's like a lot of just overt death, and this is a show where my kids get very nervous about that kind of thing. So. Like we're watching through all of Avatar: The Last Airbender, right? And it's like they understand like main characters don't get permanently hurt. So it's tough to tell in Doctor Who basically everyone but the main characters get killed constantly. So I don't know how they'll take it. I haven't really showed them any classic stuff. Like, they're aware of my accoutrement, and I have a sonic screwdriver laying around or two as well. So they're aware of it. And I think they've seen or played the Lego Dimensions stuff with Doctor Who in it. But that's about the limit of their exposure so far. So I don't know. Maybe I'll wait until more of them are a little bit older, because my youngest is 7. But he's like a young 7.
My cat occasionally comes into the room if I'm watching Doctor Who. Occasionally the cat will stay. Occasionally the cat will leave.
That's about right.
I think that's good. You got to. I mean, you don't want to push the cat too hard.
Yeah,
because,
which one do you start? The only one I think I could show my cat, which you'd be interested in, is Survival with the cheetah people, and that's literally the worst story to start a Doctor Who one, because that's the last story.
Yeah, but it wasn't the last filmed. That was Ghostlight.
Wasn't the last film. That was Ghostlight. Yeah, I'm not showing my cat Ghostlight. Even I don't understand Ghostlight at times.
I've watched Ghostlight several times, and I still am not sure what's going on. I know there's a guy in a drawer. I know there's a
guy in a drawer. They kind of equate evolution with how the British class system works.
Yeah.
And the Doctor quite literally talks someone to death, and it's kind of, and it's great. And Ace wears a suit.
And and there's like they burn down the creepy house that has like
they burn down the creepy house Ace is going to burn down the creepy house in the future. And it does have one of my favorite lines when the Doctor is asked what he hates, and one of his answers is unrequited love, which is like one of my favorite little moments. I wish they'd done more of it with Sylvester McCoy's character, like that he's somehow this hopeless romantic who keeps getting made into this manipulative jerk. That would have been a different direction for the new adventures to take.
I want to watch Curse of Fenric again.
Curse of Fenric.
I haven't seen it in many, many years, but I feel like that one would still hold up pretty well.
Eventually, Celeste will watch Battlefield. Because I gave Celeste my copy of Battlefield. It's like, you will enjoy this. It has Arthurian mythology. Watch it, get back to me. 3 years later.
Yeah.
Waiting.
Well, there's lots of stuff. There's a pandemic going on.
Oh, really? I hadn't noticed. I work in customer service. I hadn't noticed.
So going back to something you said, Vinnk, about how the show survives and reboots going forward, I don't know if they're going to get the runway that they need, because despite that, we have all this lead time for the writing. Like, Shudagawa's season's going to be 8 episodes, and we started with 13, and it's been compressing ever since then. Much like a Slovene, and in that bodysuit, it's bulging in weird places and making silly fart noises. I don't know if they're going to be able to pull it off, because we went from 13 to 12 in Capaldi's era, and then Jodie had 10 once. Did she get 2 10s? I don't remember anymore.
No, well,
that's how chaotic it was. Flux was 6. And then like the weird specials and stuff. She's been the Doctor for 5 years. There was a whole year they took off for reasons. And so like if they can make a consistent 8 episodes for 3 years in a row, it'll be a miracle, but it'll be Jodie Whittaker had the fewest number of episodes despite being the longest tenure so far. And it's just, how does that get better unless they make more?
And I also am sick of specials. Just put the things you need into your season, because having a season and then a year off, a special, and then 6 months off, you can't build an audience that way. People get distracted, they get bored. And also, when you have your stuff come to a streaming service, include the specials. Netflix only had the seasons. They didn't have They didn't have Christmas Invasion. They didn't have any of the... And a lot happens during those specials. Yeah. The regenerations happen during those specials. And, well, one positive, Disney's involved now.
Yeah, it'll be on Disney Plus going forward after
they're-
this year.
Yeah,
Currently
and they've-
HBO Max.
Yeah, yeah, and they've got Disney money coming into it too,
Right,
which might help. It depends how
can
much
hope.
Disney's it, but frankly, Disney's been doing pretty well lately with things that they've gotten hold of. So
Just hope that they get the because I can't watch Doctor Who on HBO Max because they haven't got the PAL NTSC difference sorted out, so it always runs like a fraction faster than it's meant to.
Okay.
And I can see it, and it bugs me.
it's running. It's running 60 hertz.
It hurts, all right.
It's not
Frame
your
rate
pal.
jokes. Oh Lord, I'm not your buddy, pal. Not your
Not your
pal,
buddy, guy.
Not your guy, buddy.
So
This was Doctor Who.
this was Doctor Who. So okay, anyone's opinions change after this talk?
Nah.
My opinion changed after watching it. I didn't remember it that fondly, and now I'm feeling like it was the tightest the show has ever been and will never be able to attain again, because you can't do Rose again. They've tried, and I don't know what's going to happen coming in. I worry that Russel T Davies is going to do his greatest hits lap, and it's not going to revitalize it the way that it needs to. I'm a little angry to hear that he's the one who approached the BBC about this, being like, I didn't expect anything. It's like, dude, you knew that the show was on the rocks when you approached them, and you knew that Chibnall was having a lot of trouble, and you didn't know this was going to shake up everything. I don't believe that for a second. So,
Well, maybe he hasn't been watching it either because the schedule's so erratic. Like
that's fair.
he's like, But I will say, I will say that sending in Miles as your attack dog has failed spectacularly.
Well, I
because
tried.
I think we found a lot more common ground.
See,
But I enjoyed it all the same. I'm sure everyone
the
else
trouble
did
is,
too.
it's really hard. It's really hard for me to get angry with people with opinions on Doctor Who, because it's like, this stuff looks bad. Yeah, you're right. It does. I still enjoy it though.
Yeah, same. I agree.
Look,
all the bad things are bad, but in context, it's like
look, you're talking to a guy who has purchased and watched Time Lash. I'm good. You could sit me in front of some horrendous.
It's on this
Yep.
one, Time Lash.
Time Lash. Like, okay, the only enjoyable thing about it is Paul Darrow from Blake 7 eating all the scenery, regurgitating the scenery, just so he can eat it again for a second course, because Colin Baker did the exact same thing in an episode of Blake 7.
Yeah.
And it's one like, he's the best thing in it. It's a piece of poo, but he's playing it like he's Richard III.
Oh my!
Doing RSC.
That's
it's
amazing.
I'm gonna watch Time Lash tomorrow. I'm gonna because
Just
they made
So-
a remastered edition which has new CG effects. And I'm like, talk about polishing a turd. I can't wait. I can't wait.
I'm expecting, if your kids are watching as much Doctor Who as they are, that we will get through Tennant's run well before November, and then maybe we can revisit some of this stuff at that point in 2023.
I think that would be great.
yeah.
I think
Cool.
that this was a fun chat, guys.
Yeah.
I know it went on like this is the longest episode we've ever had. This is our trial of a Time Lord.
So this has to end on like a crash zoom on all our faces.
It'll be
No,
fine because we have an outro.
I think we
I
should
see
end it
what
the
you're
same.
doing there.
I think we should end it the same way they ended Trial of the Time Lord and Colin Baker's entire run, with his poignant last words: "Carrot juice, carrot juice, carrot juice."
Oh no! We ended like they did Colin Baker by having someone else play Colin Baker in a curly wig.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Doctor
upsetting.
in distress.
No,
Let's all answer his
Right?
SOS.
Okay. No, done.
Doctor.
Done. This is against my contract. It's against the Geneva Convention. It is against the Shadow Proclamation, whatever. No
Yeah.
doctor in distress. I'll be in my trailer.
I have it on vinyl. Bring him back now. We won't take less.
Do you know what I have on vinyl? Good music. Do you know what I have on vinyl? The soundtrack for Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Well,
And
you know
the
what you
soundtrack
don't
to-
have on. You know what you don't. You don't have the sound. You don't have the soundtrack to Rose because it's garbage.
Right.
All right.
But I have
On
the
that note,
soundtrack to Rollerball. I will die happy.
I'm cutting it. This is where we stop.
All right.
Thank you for making it to the end of another episode of Two Boobs Watch the Tube. If you would like to support these boobs, please subscribe. Like us on iTunes and tell a friend. If you want to give us a big push up, donate to the Famicom Dojo Patreon, found in the show notes. There you can also find info about sponsoring an episode, and also info about the other great shows, and one bad one, on the Nerd and Tie Network. Until next time, keep it classy.
Oh, and so slow on that button. Here we go.